process has to start. You have to have the buy-in. You have to have all things go the right way for you. You don't know the injuries, all that. I've coached for 23 years, and I believed going into it. I didn't know if I was going to win a hockey game. Lo and behold, you end up winning a lot of hockey games, and my resume says that. But you never feel that way until it takes hold and you get your identity, and you get into the thick of the season and the dog days and all that. And then you need some things to go right. You need the right guys to be playing at the top of their game.
Stillman and Company, weekdays from 2 to 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. When Smashville wants to rock.
I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Looking to the sky to save me, looking for a sign of life, 'cause it's too cold for you here.
We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz.
Go big or go home. Unless you're part of Smashville. Because here, going big means you are home. Big hits. Big names. Big history. Big energy. Welcome to Smashville.
Preds fans, join us as we take on the Vancouver Canucks this Tuesday, October 24th at Bridgestone Arena. Secure tickets today at NashvillePredators.com.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 102.5 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And a score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board.
Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
And welcome into the Monday edition of Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser here with you on this Monday morning. Robby and Rexrode presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, helping home buyers and sellers in Middle Tennessee for 20 years. Taking your thoughts, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you?
I'm okay, but really, how are you is really the better question.
Not doing well. Not doing well at all. It's a terrible football weekend. I've had some bad football weekends. This one may have been the worst. It was terrible. Tennessee losing Bama. The Green Bay Packers finding a way to lose to Sean Payton, Russell Wilson, and the Denver Broncos. This one's a Hall of Famer in terms of bad football weekends.
Yeah, but you know what's kind of cool about the weekend, though?
What's that?
You know what's kind of cool
I know what's kind of cool about the weekend.
Hey, all you Lions truthers, I'm here for you, buddy. Come at me. The Lions are, they might be the best team in the NFC. People had that take last week. Good stuff. But I will say, by the way.
laid an egg.
Yeah, and it happens. But I must say, like Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, too. Yeah, they're an intriguing team.
Yeah, they are.
AFC.
They are. They look very good. That was a dominant win they had yesterday against the Lions. Great game Sunday Night Football last night, Miami and Philadelphia. And, Joe, it turns out that A.J. Brown continues to be pretty good at football. What did he have last night? 10 for 135 and a touchdown? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
His fifth game in a row with over 125 yards receiving. 5 in a row.
It's pretty impressive, man. And it's funny, watching them this year. I mean, Devontae Smith is still a very good player, but like A.J. Brown has become the guy.
Oh, yeah.
For them. So I actually went and tweeted my column.
I saw that.
Because I was like, you know what, I need to go read this column again. And I was like, well, good job. You had a total tantrum, and you were right. But also then I went through the comments, and there were so many people like, good riddance, what are you talking about, overreactor?
I will always remember the day after that trade. He gets traded the Thursday night of the draft in the first round. Our Friday morning show the next day was unbelievable in terms of just
a meltdown.
How mad you were, but also some of the mental gymnastics that people were doing to try to defend that move by John Robinson and the Titans was pretty incredible.
Well, look, in the moment, I mean, you like in some people are going to be outraged. Some people are. It's like you got to hope for the best, right? You got to trust that they know what they're doing. I mean, that's basically what Jared did a lot of. He was doing triple handstand roundoffs, on that move, But it's just, man, you watch him now. I saw Terry McCormick tweeted last night, and I agree. He's like, A.J. Brown is stacking a Hall of Fame career together here right now. I mean, it's early, but he's about to have another. I mean, he might lead the league in receiving this year. And it's just regrettable. Very regrettable.
Very regrettable. No question about that. Speaking of regrettable, what a second half it was for Tennessee on Saturday against Alabama. Alabama wins 34-20. Tennessee up 20-7 at the half, and they got outscored 27-0 from the start of the third quarter on. And I remember I watched the first half of the game at my house on Saturday, and then I left at halftime to go down to the downtown area to cover the Predators game that night. And I'm listening. Unstop, then you can start to turn the tide the other way. 2 plays later, touchdown Alabama. And that's when I knew,
boom, boom.
Oh boy, this one could get a little hairy. And boy, did it get hairy for Tennessee in the second half. What a meltdown by the Vols.
Yeah, just the best half of football of the year. I think that's pretty clear, right? I mean, there was some dominant halves, whatever, like South Carolina, or whatever. That's the best half of football they played, and then maybe the worst. We were debating that. I was walking with Ben McKee on the stadium, listening to some of these Alabama students say some of the most awful stuff I've ever heard come out of their drunken mouths at Tennessee players as I stood on the field. But we were debating, is that the worst half or, like the first half against Florida, But
it's pretty close.
But regardless, just, mistakes. I think clearly like Alabama adjustments that just really gave Tennessee a problem. I mean, coaching, playing, all of it was just completely outclassed in the second half.
Yeah, 27-0 the score in the second half. That first drive for Alabama in the second half where they went 2 plays and scored a touchdown, that got them rolling offensively. Before that, really in the first half, they didn't get hardly anything done offensively. Tennessee played great on defense. They had the one drive in the first half where they got the touchdown to Jermaine Burton. Other than that, there was nothing going on for Alabama. They couldn't run the ball. They had 16 yards rushing at the half. Now, some of that is Jalen Milroe running around and him getting sacked, but 16 yards rushing for Alabama at the half, and they end up with 138 on the day. So that just kind of shows you what they did there in the second half.
Yeah, and some of those runs that they got done in the second half, I think were you could look at it because of Tennessee got tired out on defense, because all of a sudden it was just 3 and out and give it right back to them, 3 and out, give it right back to them. But also, again, Alabama adjusted on defense. Second half defense, Alabama started just playing much more aggressively. I saw way more press coverage than off coverage. First half was all off coverage. And just kind of – some of it was like, okay, we actually have better players. We have a lot more good players than they do, which is still the case with these two teams. But it's just amazing that you could do what the Vols did for 30 minutes and then just have it flip. I mean, they were – at one point, the total yards was like, 3 – or like – what was it, like 170-20 or something like that, Tennessee. And you knew Alabama was going to make a run, but I did not know that Tennessee was just going to wilt like that.
No, it was just a total collapse in the second half. And I will say, as well as Tennessee played in the first half, and I even tweeted about this at the time, you get down to the red zone a couple of times and you're not able to finish. There's a kind of an outbreaking route to Sampson that it was clear that was Joe Milton's read because he didn't look anywhere else the whole play on that first one, and they didn't connect there in the end zone, had to kick a field goal. And then Milton misses a wide open man in the end zone that you just can't miss. And, would they have won the game had they hit on those two? I have no idea. But, I mean, that's 8 points that you just left off the board in the first half. And against Alabama, you just can't do that. And, again, had they connected on those two, would they have won the game? I don't know. Instead of 13-0 at one point, it would have been 21-0 had you hit on both of those, and maybe it's a different game at that point. But, the second half, nothing got going offensively, but they did have opportunities in the first that they were not able to totally convert on.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of had a feeling, that that was going to come back to bite them for sure. But to me, when Bama, the big sequence that I thought, okay, they might win this game, the tip in the end zone, which was a great play by, I think Slaughter tipped it, and then it's picked off by McCullough, and then you drive all the way down the field. And I'm like, okay, I think they might do this today, And that place, which was great, loudest I've ever heard that place. I haven't been there too many times, but it was like before the game, it was like, okay, they actually, the fans showed out today to create an atmosphere, but they had totally silenced that place. And then, the second half, it's just a snowball on you.
Well, in the second half, you've got the first drive by Alabama, and you've got Tennessee not being able to get out of their own way with some penalties in the game. You had the fair catch thing that put the ball at the 4-yard line, which was a gigantic play in the game where you basically just had to surrender run 3 times in a row and punt the ball away after that. It was just, mistake after mistake. And then obviously the killer in the game, and when it was, I think, officially over, is when the strip sack and the fumble return for a touchdown, and that was all she wrote at that point.
Oh, yeah, at that point it was just, I mean, the cigars came out of the pockets.
Yes.
At that moment. By the way, you're outdoors, and few minutes left in the game in an end zone. Again, listening to some of these idiots that need to go, they need to go pray for forgiveness for some of the crap they were saying. I mean, the smoke was so thick outside. I was like, my eyes were watering, and I was like, I could barely breathe.
Yeah.
So they enjoyed it.
Just a haze over the field.
I mean, it was crazy. Disgusting, man. Bad tradition. But, hey, man, the SEC's getting rid of this, so no.
That is true. May not have to worry about it too much longer. Then there's the 2 4th-down calls from Heupel, which one came in the first half. It's 4th and, I don't know, half a yard, 1 yard on that play, and then you got a 4th and 3, and they're not able to get either one of them. The second one, we talked about plays where the game changes a little bit. Second one, I think with the way your defense had been playing to that point, I know they just gave up the drive before that, but the way your defense had been playing to that point, probably a time there where on the position of the field where you punt Alabama deep and you make them drive the field again.
Yeah.
And that's not second guessing. When he came out there, I was just like, what are you doing? Punt the ball.
I said the same thing. Your defense has played well all day. Here and there, they've hit a couple plays on you. But for the most part, your defense has played well. You pin them deep. Your punter's playing well, and I just didn't like it at all before it failed. Obviously, if it succeeds, and who knows what happens after that, but I thought that was a big mistake. I mean, and a lot of people said this. I actually was so Andy Staples was next to me in the press box, and he's like, "Do they have a QB sneak in the play?" And I'm like, I don't think they do, but actually talking to Ryan Callahan after they did do it a couple times with Hooker, and actually they had the little trick play against A&M where Keaton dropped the touchdown. Milton went under center.
Yeah,
I mean, this year, even if you're devoted to your offense, you're always in shotgun, whatever. This year, have that in your playbook.
He's 6'5", 250 pounds.
Right.
It should be self-explanatory.
This would be one of those, build around what you have, your talent. And you can't tell me some quarterbacks are better than others, but I'd like to see him try.
I got a pretty good idea he might be okay at a quarterback sneak.
Yeah,
just my thought. Tennessee loses 34-20 on Saturday against Alabama. We got a lot to get to on that game today. Take your thoughts as well. 615-737-1025, our phone number. A total meltdown by the Vols in the second half. How did it happen? And how does it continue to happen for Tennessee on the road in these SEC games. We'll get into that as well coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Go big or go home. Unless you're part of Smashville. Because here, going big means you are home. Big hits. Big names. Big history. Big energy. Welcome to Smashville.
Preds fans, join us as we take on the Vancouver Canucks this Tuesday, October 24th at Bridgestone Arena. Secure tickets today at NashvillePredators.com.
When you want to rock.
Let's go, don't wait. This night's almost over. Do all the monsters come out at night? Why don't we slip where we want to?
We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz.
Country music singer-songwriter Kylie Morgan absolutely loves her Genesis diamond ring.
I got so many compliments as soon as I got the ring and continue to get compliments on it because it looks really pretty on my finger.
Kylie's husband Jay heard folks in the music industry raving about Genesis, but he also did a lot of homework on his own.
When it came to finding the ring, he took it very seriously. He did all the research. I think he knows more about diamonds than any man in the entire world, and that's how he landed on Genesis. He just knew that they were the best.
Jay picked out a stunning, flawless, pear-shaped diamond in an elegant setting. Got the value price Genesis is known for, and now they both tell everyone they meet about the amazing Genesis experience.
When you walk into Genesis, you can just feel the happiness. You know that they're helping find something that symbolizes the love that you have for your partner, and you can feel that as soon as you walk through the door.
Always been you, and I've always been your wife.
Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game and on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville.
Hey!
Oh, yeah, and like us on Facebook, too. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode.
It's part of this nutritious breakfast.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keys are here with you on this Monday morning. Taking your thoughts on Tennessee and Alabama. Alabama wins 34-20. They outscored Tennessee 27-0 in the second half. Joe, a lot of conversation on the officials. We'll get into that a little bit later in the program here today.
Yep, it's already started on the text line.
It has already started on the text line. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll take your thoughts on all of it. 615-737-1025. So, Joe, for the third time in less than a calendar year, we are talking about an absolute meltdown by Tennessee on the road. And it's been different ways that it's happened. Like the South Carolina game last year was a meltdown from the opening kickoff to the end of the game. I mean, they just couldn't do anything on defense. The Florida game this year, the defense in the first half, I mean, they just couldn't tackle anybody, and it was just a total meltdown from that perspective. The defense played better in the second half, but by then the game was pretty much over. This time around, they played great in the first half. They look like an elite defense. Joe Milton plays probably the best half of his career at Tennessee.
Oh, I think so.
And he played pretty well in that game. And then in the second half, they can't do anything. I mean, the defense falls apart. The offense can't sustain any drives. You've got penalties, you got turnovers, you got miscues on special teams plays where you're got a fair catch signal and ball starting at the 4-yard line. I mean, just a total nightmare for Tennessee. And it feels like this always happens on the road. Like there are road games where, for whatever reason, Tennessee, for a stretch of time in a game, just completely falls apart. And I have to, at this point, look at Heupel for that. Like, Heupel has got to figure that out. This is now the third time in a calendar year where this has happened, and it's almost unexplainable at times just how dramatic the fall-off is with Tennessee. And look, it's college football. You're going to see some ebbs and flows and some runs in games. But Saturday, once again, another example of just a pretty dramatic drop-off from Tennessee at their level of play.
Yeah, no, I agree. Heupel's got to figure it out. He got a lot of questions about that idea, the road issues and what happens. And basically, he kind of blew it off and said, I mean, communication, is harder on the road. But other than that, basically, I don't see any difference. I mean, first of all, one thing I will say on the Vols' behalf, I guess, is I think they play in the best atmosphere in college football. I don't think there's a better one. I haven't seen a better one than when that place is at its best. So, obviously, I mean, that's the thing. That's almost like, if you think about what Heupel said after the game, which was downplaying this, after every home game, basically, he starts out with the crowd and how big of a deal that was, right? Like, and yeah, some of it is just thanking the fans, but also, like, he's giving them credit for helping them, and they do. I mean, it bothers the opponent. It gives them extra juice. Of course it does. College football and college basketball, to me, are the two most crowd-impacted sports, that we have. So if that's the case, then certainly why would it not, have the reverse effect when you're on the road at times? But good, mature football teams – and teams that actually belong, in the upper echelon, figure that out and relish going into those places and shutting them down, which, again, the Vols did in the first half. So it's not like it's been nothing good. Like, that first half was a great half of football. Last year they go to LSU and just absolutely blow them out. But, that game also, LSU made all these mistakes early and the score is separated. And also it's just a different – I mean – that Tennessee team and that offense at that point were just a machine, But to your point, I mean, especially starting with the South Carolina game, it's a little bit troubling, and you wonder what that is. I mean, to me, it's like there's a maturity thing there, but yeah, ultimately it comes down to Josh Heupel figure it out, and he's got to figure it out here quickly because, I mean, Tennessee is better than Kentucky and Missouri. Tennessee should go win at Kentucky and Missouri. But if they lose either of those games, then this becomes a bigger talking point.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what's going on with the Vols on the road?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's at some point, if you're going to be one of those programs that he talks about being, you're going to have to win some big games on the road. And like you said, they've gone down to LSU. That was a big game. They won that game on the road. There have been times they've played well on the road. A couple years ago in Tuscaloosa, they played really well on the road. And they just happened to lose that game, and it got away from them in the fourth quarter. There was a huge talent deficiency between that team and that Alabama team. But this is it's becoming a trend that, if I'm Heupel, is very concerning to me right now. For whatever reason, there's just a total inability to put 60 minutes together in conference road games. And not just put 60 minutes together, but just a wild drop-off. That's the one thing. Like, obviously going on the road in college football, especially in the SEC, is a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to go on the road and to win and to play well the entire game. But just the dramatic level of difference between the first half and the second half in this game, the first half in Florida where it just looked like you had no interest in tackling anybody. South Carolina game was a debacle from start to finish. Like, it's just been pretty dramatic the way that they've lost some of these games. And look, Alabama deserves credit for what they did in the second half. Obviously, they made some adjustments. And Nick Saban kind of talked about that after the game, especially defensively, of how they wanted to play Tennessee to start the game. They were getting gashed doing it that way, and he made some adjustments to kind of, like you said, go a little bit more press coverage. They did a good job of stopping the run against Tennessee for the most part, other than Milton getting loose a few times, which teams haven't been able to do. So Alabama deserves, I still think, the bulk of the credit for what they were able to do. But Tennessee – that also goes back to, like, okay, well, if Alabama's out there making all these adjustments, where's your counterpunch if you're Josh Heupel in Tennessee? And there was none on Saturday.
Absolutely. No question. And basically, it sounded like basically Alabama went back to, like, how they typically play defense, I mean, last year we saw what happened to that Alabama defense. Different coordinator now, still a whole bunch of good players. They had no hope against Tennessee's offense. The fact that, this totally different, way worse Tennessee offense puts 20 on and moves the ball like they did. And again, like you said, if you get the red zone success, then you really are lighting them up. It's like, man, Alabama just hate seeing Tennessee anymore. That's what I thought after 30 minutes.
Well, and Gary Danielson kept making this point too, like how much Jalen Hyatt killed him last year, and then Squirrel White, they just immediately went to slot receiver over and over and over again. And it was like, can Alabama ever guard a Tennessee slot receiver?
Yeah.
And then they did in the second half.
39-yard TD, which was a beautiful pass from Joe Milton. And then, basically, I think that's another thing they did is I think they were like, Squirrel, that guy's not beating us in the second half. So someone else on the receiving corps beat, and it's like, who? There's no one.
No.
Caleb Webb had 4 targets. Dante Thornton drops a really good Milton pass. It might have turned into a touchdown, but at least it gets it to like the 3, and he just drops it. He's been a massive disappointment.
Yeah.
Keaton does end up with 5 for 71, but he also had that's a huge drop he had.
He had a huge drop, and then he made an unbelievable catch. Like it was wide, like a 2-drive span. He drops the one and hits him right between the numbers.
There it is.
And then he makes this circus acrobatic catch. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I was like, this is unbelievable that he continues to make catches like that and can't catch the one that hits him right in the hands.
Yeah, but they just. You're right. You got to adjust. But it's also you get the boom touchdown drive, you get the mess up on the kickoff return. So, someone asked about that. It's honestly, I did not know this rule. I don't know if anybody in the press box knew this rule. But if someone signals fair catch who doesn't catch the ball, as soon as the ball is caught, the ball is dead. It's a very weird rule.
It is. I didn't really feel like he signaled fair catch.
Yeah, that was close too.
That was kind of a wild stretch there, and Heupel was not very happy about it.
No, he was not. So that puts him in a pickle. But again, to me, the Heupel, I just think that you got to read the game and your defense overall how it's playing, and also the fact that let's shotgun whatever your play is against the strength of Alabama.
Right.
That's their strength. On the road, it's such a dicey proposition unless you have a play you love. And, on the first play, it's also you're asking your guys to read stuff out there. To me, if you have a special play that you love, then do that. But so often those go the wrong way for the road team, especially against a great defense.
Well, and Jackson Ross he has turned after the Virginia game. He was pretty bad.
Yeah,
he has turned into a pretty good weapon for Tennessee in terms of that rugby style punt that he does and the ability to kick it off either leg. He runs around for so long back there that it's almost impossible to get a return against Tennessee because the coverage unit's down there by the time the ball gets there. So it's your punting game has turned into a weapon for you. He was playing really well. It's a bad decision by Heupel to go for that in the second half.
Yeah, and then you get into. Tennessee was obviously playing from ahead the whole first half, and there's something to that. And then it's just not as crazy as it is. Milton ends up with good numbers, 28 for 41, 271, 2 touchdowns, but it's just not an offense. You just do not want to be behind if you're the Vols. It's just not that kind of offense this year.
The running part of this, Jalen Wright ends up with 11 carries for 22 yards, which, that's their biggest weapon to this point offensively has been Jalen Wright. Like Sampson had 28 yards, Jabari Small 24 yards, Jalen Wright 22 yards. Alabama they shut down Tennessee's running game from the running back part of it. Milton got loose a couple times. He ended up with 15 carries for 59 yards, but the running back part of it, Alabama totally shut him down.
They did, and there were times with Smalls in there, and I'm like, I would just give it to Jalen Wright. But when Zero was in there, Alabama to me was like they were more just expecting the run, and they played it better, and his numbers kind of bear that out. I asked Heupel after the game, is that the most Milton's ever been a designed runner? I think it's not even close. But of course, he's like, no, we did that last week. I'm like, well, I said, is that the most? I know you've done it before. Whatever.
That was by far the most.
Difficult.
He's been a design runner.
And keep
which
doing
is good.
It.
Keep doing it.
Keep doing it. Because the thing is, when he has conviction and is running the ball, they did some speed option stuff, but also just a couple QB draws. When he has conviction and is running the ball, he's a weapon. He's just bad at escaping the pocket and making plays that way. But as a designed runner, yeah, you got to do that with this offense.
So what does this Alabama loss mean for Tennessee now as they try to move forward? And what does it mean for maybe how the rest of this year is going to play out from a personnel standpoint? We'll get into all that coming up next as well. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
He knows the ins and outs of the Titans and isn't afraid to give his opinion.
Traylon Burks needs a massive offseason.
He's Jonathan Hutton of Outkick.
I don't see how they make a move without going to Ryan Tannehill.
Catch him every Monday at 10:30 on Chase McCabe and every Wednesday at noon on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Hutton is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey guys, it's Mike from Newton Chevrolet GMC in Shelbyville. It's finally football season in Tennessee, which means sweaters, tailgates, and pumpkin spice lattes. Wait, it's still almost 90 degrees outside. Where's the fall weather? I guess we'll just have to keep waiting and sweating it out, even at football games for now. But don't wait on cooler temps to commit to making sure your car's running smoothly, even if you're still running the AC. It might be time to check the oil, all the fluid levels, and just a basic once-over to make sure that when the weather finally does cool off, you won't be left out in the cold, literally or figuratively. Let our service center give you peace of mind and offer you great savings while you're at it. Save on basic services like tire rotations, fluid services, and brake checkups with up to $25 in savings this month at Newton Chevrolet GMC. Just a short drive away from Murfreesboro. Visit NewtonChevroletGMC.com to schedule a fall service checkup today. That's NewtonChevroletGMC.com.
Some people put off things that need doing. Not you. Harbor Freight knows you're a today's the day kind of person. An I'm on it kind of person. A bring it kind of person. So if you're rolling up your sleeves today and you don't want to overpay for tools, you're a Harbor Freight kind of person. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
We're losing too many of our friends, neighbors, and loved ones to fentanyl poisoning. Nearly 75% of overdose deaths in Nashville involve fentanyl, but you can save a life with training and naloxone. STARS, Nashville's regional overdose prevention specialists, are here to teach you how to recognize and respond to an overdose and how you can save a life. Call 615-393-6980 or visit starsnashville.org. This project is funded under a grant contract with the State of Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
One is a legendary NFL wide receiver.
I gotta be prepared. I have to be ready.
One is a legendary Nashville voice.
You don't have to rely on carrying the ball 250 to 300 times.
And the other has been a legendary trash talker on the playground since the 4th grade.
Nobody is a Pro Bowler on day one of rookie minicamp.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Paul Feinbaum and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keys are here with you on this Monday morning, taking your thoughts on Tennessee and Alabama. Alabama wins 34-20 over the weekend in the third Saturday in October. Tennessee falls to 5-2 on the season. Taking your thoughts, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. So, Joe, now that Tennessee's lost, so you dropped the Florida game, now you've dropped Alabama. The SEC East race is done.
Over.
Like the SEC East race isn't done. Tennessee's part in the SEC East race is done.
The playoff is done.
Yeah. I mean,
SEC, and the thing is, I know some people are like, playoff. Well, had they won this game, folks, we'd be talking about the playoff. We'd be talking about a Georgia showdown for the SEC East.
Correct. And now that's all done at this point. So you're 5-2. There's still a lot of football left to be played. And look, I mean, you've got, I think, a winnable game at Kentucky coming up this weekend, a winnable game in Missouri, a tough game, but a winnable game at Missouri. The showdown with Georgia still looms at Neyland Stadium, and I know there are people that think that you could be crazy about talking about Tennessee having a chance to beat Georgia, but when it's at home, they're a different team at home for whatever reason. They're way different at home than they are on the road. So you got that coming up, and then there's UConn and Vanderbilt as well. So there's a lot of football left to be played, and Joe Milton, I thought was fine Saturday. Like, he wasn't, to me, you know, we're going to go through we've gone through a lot of the reasons Tennessee lost the game, and they scored 0 points in the second half. So I can't absolve Joe Milton from blame whatsoever in the second half, and he made some mistakes. But overall, I mean, 28 of 41, 271, 2 touchdowns, no picks, a quarterback rating of 75.3. I thought he was fine on Saturday. Now, having said that, they have lost 2 games. The SEC East race is over from their standpoint. And there is a freshman quarterback that the fan base is going to be clamored to see now. Not that ultimately matters. Josh Heupel's the one that has to make the decision.
What do you mean now?
To win game. Well, I hear what you're saying. Now it's going to be, even if you were kind of holding out, I mean, the race is over. So you're going to see more Tennessee fans wanting him to play.
Yeah.
What do you think this all means? Where does it all go from here in terms of how Josh Heupel, how Tennessee handles the second part of this season?
I think right now it's not even an issue. So, and look, were all these things true and he had played poorly Saturday, then I think it's super loud this week, and maybe there's a better chance of it. The number one, and there's a lot to it. You know, some of it I do think is like appreciation, loyalty, Milton, all that stuff, sticking it out. But, you know, at some point that doesn't matter as much. I mean, he's had plenty of opportunity to play this year. Frankly, if you really wanted to help Joe Milton, you're Heupel, you just like sit him down, and then his NFL stock is higher having not played this year than it is now having played, you know. So but the biggest question of all that, or at least as big as any, is just Nico's readiness. And the counterpoint to, let's see what you've got is, okay, why, now that it doesn't matter, do you want to throw the freshman to the wolves, you know? I mean, I think that if Milton really struggles, maybe at some point, you know, you could see it. It's possible, but right now I don't think it's any kind of consideration. And especially when he did take some steps. Like you said, he missed the touchdown. You can't miss it. But, I mean, he made some throws in the first half. Like that's the Joe Milton I thought they might get this year. It's like, you know, he's not going to be perfect. He's going to miss some stuff. There's going to be some stuff where it's like, wow, Hendon Hooker would have made that throw. But he's big, fast. He can be a running threat. And more importantly, I mean, those deep shots, he's worked on it and just ripped the ball. I mean, he just made some quick reads and throws. It's like, okay, there's 8 yards. I mean, just stuff we haven't seen nearly enough this year. So he took a step forward, and I was like, he's about to go beat Alabama in Alabama, and all of a sudden, like, the whole Joe Milton conversation is just flipped on its ear.
Right.
The second half, he just didn't do enough. He wasn't good enough. You know, he couldn't change what was happening. And after the game, I mean, Milton several times talking about guys not doing their jobs. I mean, he's getting frustrated, I think, with both the receivers and the offensive line. And, like, although he has a huge hand in it, he's the quarterback, I get it, because the receivers and offensive line are not helping him enough. The offensive line actually in this game, for most of it, protected better than I thought they would. I will give them that. But, yeah, obviously you have the strip sack. But then again, Milton kind of takes too much time in that play too, you know. Yeah. All of which is to say, look, I don't think there's anything imminent, and maybe they lose one of these next 2 or something. You know, is your chance of winning better with Milton or Nico right now? I'm assuming it's better with Milton because, like, these guys aren't trying to lose, you know?
Right.
How big of a deal is it to get him game reps this year?
I don't necessarily think it's a huge deal to get him game reps this year. I'm at some point it may happen, but here's the one thing that I would say. I completely understand Tennessee fans that look at this picture right now and they say, well, the SEC East race is over. Let's start building towards next year so you can challenge for the SEC East next year and get Nico some reps that could end up being valuable. And I hear that, and I understand it. And if that's the way they ultimately decided to go, I don't know that I would have a problem with it. My counter argument to that is, like, when did Tennessee become this program that just, like, brushes 9 or 10 wins aside like it's nothing? Like, you still have an opportunity to win 9 games this year, 10 games this year. And when did Tennessee in the last decade all of a sudden become this program? It's like, don't care about that.
Well,
Just get the freshmen ready.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. I mean, I think some of that answer is what's happened in college football, right?
Yep.
It's like either you're a part of this discussion about the college football playoff or, okay, what did you do? Okay, see you next year, which is sad. But, yeah, I mean, look, I still think, like, Tennessee goes 9-3. That's a pretty darn good year. And what's your bowl game then? What's your bowl game if you go 9-3? I mean, it's –
Can't spell citrus without you.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, whatever that's called now. Is that called the Capital One still? Orlando, Tampa. But
I can't
still,
keep up with all these things.
Yeah, but I mean that's still better than like the Liberty Bowl, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Look, I mean, ultimately, if you're Josh Heupel, and if you're these coaches at this point, I think you're acquainted with the fishbowl you're in, which is, oh my God, they will absolutely hold you up as a hero of all heroes when you're winning. And the first sign of trouble now,
they're on.
You're like, holy crap, we better not lose anymore. Like, you need to win.
I was having conversations with people on Twitter after the game that were talking about Danny White needing to sit down and have a serious conversation with Josh Heupel about his job. I was like, okay.
Oh yeah, comments on my column. There's. Now, though, I think somebody must be trolling it. What'd they say? They're like, yeah, fire him and get to Petrino. I'm like, you're just trolling, aren't you? But there are other people who I think seriously, legitimately are talking about Josh Heupel's job right now.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just how it – I mean, the Vandy fans, they're like, oh, now we're moving into the Butch Jones phase of the Heupel. Hey, you know what? That's what people are going to say. If you go 7-5,
right.
Well, then it's going to be a – bitter off season.
And let me be clear, because I say, there's still an opportunity for 9 or 10 wins this year, which I think there is. I think 9 is probably the more realistic number. There's also an opportunity. Look, they could very well go lose to Kentucky Saturday, go lose to Missouri the following week, and lose to Georgia. And you could be talking about like they've got UConn sandwiched in between there, so they'll probably win that one. But you could be talking about a 4-game conference losing streak at some point. That's very much on the table for this Tennessee team.
Yeah, and then people are mad. People are real mad. Chuck on the text line says, does Milton seem like he doesn't come off his first read? So, sometimes, yes. Now, remember, these deep choice, when they do the deep choice thing, I mean, you and the receiver are reading the coverage. And so you're kind of locked in on that receiver, and then they're gonna take it deep or they're going to rip back. Like, he and Squirrel White have a good thing with that. There was a touchdown on that. And there was another, like a big play to Square White where they both read it. They were dropping back, come back, rip it to them. So sometimes I think in this offense it looks like you're just locked in at first read, but that's kind of like what the play is, But, yeah, in general, I think
he does.
Yes. I mean, I think he hasn't done well enough with quickly going through reads when it's time to do that. And but, even like the second half, it's like so they get, they show no trust in him. I mean, I get it, but they're at the goal line. They go run, punt, right? That next thing, he has a big read option keeper, gets a big run to the 38. He has a really good ball to Keaton deep, but it's just good coverage. And then, you have a 3rd and 9, good pass to Keaton, gets it to 4th and 1, and they get blown up. I mean, he even came out in the second half when they gave him a chance to throw. And he was okay. And then the next drive, you get the holding, which that was, we'll get into the refs. They had a holding on the little screen on Jacob Warren that I was like, and then that drive is toast. So anyway, then you get to the strip sack and you're done.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I did not walk away from the game and the way the second half went on Saturday and think to myself, oh, boy, Joe Milton. Like, he was not at top of mind when I was going over all the reasons they lost that game.
No.
Now, that doesn't mean he was the solution, but he was not the reason to me that they lost that game.
Yeah, he wasn't the solution. I mean, with the Titans involved, I think it's still ultimately the same question. Willis or Levis, who gives you a better chance to win? Milton or Nico, who gives you a better chance to win?
Right. Well, and that's the one part about this. I mean, we just haven't seen Nico. He's been in there.
We haven't seen Levis
a couple of times this year in garbage time, and they haven't let him throw much this year. How much progress has he made? Getting up to speed with the offense, in practice with the reps that he gets. I mean, those are all things that we don't know the answer to. Now, I will say, like, if I'm a Tennessee fan, I mean, I would hope that it's like a conversation, like of, okay, is Nico close enough to where he could give you a better chance to win? I mean, I'm hoping that's at least on the table if I'm a Tennessee fan based on the hype and the talent that this kid has, but it may not be at this point.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, the thing is, early, like in camp, some of the stuff the coaches talked about, and look, sometimes it's just like, man, let's give the freshmen a little public, show us support. But it was pretty emphatic about his improvement and everything. I mean, I thought in the spring, I was like, yeah, you can see it. I mean, he's got a chance to be a special player. Is there, how much, like, you get to the Vanderbilt game, I mean, you could be like, you know what, Joe, thank you, senior day. Yeah, let's come out with the flowers, and then Nico will play a lot of the game, and maybe, like, how much benefit is there to get him into something like that for next year? I don't know. Like C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, guys like that never really played as freshmen, and then they were fine.
Yeah, like I don't think it's a necessity that they do that. I also don't think you can completely take it off the table that happens at some point. Like Joe Milton, I think he did help himself and take a step forward Saturday. I still think he's one really bad performance and a loss away from probably having this conversation.
Yeah.
So I don't know that has changed in terms of his picture and all this. We'll continue the discussion. 615-737-1025. Got a lot of your thoughts to get to on Tennessee and Alabama. We'll do that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Whether it's college football,
players might end up not going to Alabama or Georgia,
or the NFL,
I think that this team wins the AFC South.
Trevor knows. Join ESPN's Trevor Maddich every Tuesday at 4:30 on Stillman and Company as he gives his opinions on the latest from the gridiron.
I'm going to the team where I can get a ring.
Trevor Maddich brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Some people put off things that need doing. Not you. Harbor Freight knows you're a today's the day kind of person. An I'm on it kind of person. A bring it kind of person. So if you're rolling up your sleeves today and you don't want to overpay for tools, you're a Harbor Freight kind of person. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 102.5 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Get a great deal on select Kubota equipment, the #1 rated tractor brand for durability and owner experience in the U.S. The versatile lineup is built to help you make the most of your land. Right now at participating dealers, get a Kubota compact tractor for 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months, plus save up to $800 on qualifying implements. Now through October 31st. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com/disclaimers for full disclaimer.
Visit Coleman Tractor, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House today.
When Smashville wants to rock. We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz. He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser here with you on this Monday morning. Tennessee falls to Alabama 34-20 on Saturday at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Alabama wins again. Tennessee falls to 5-2 on the season. Taking your thoughts on the Vols, 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. I got a texter that says, stay with Milton until Tennessee gets some additional speed burners to catch it down the field. Nico's time will come. This is from an unnamed texter on the text line.
Okay, so till next year?
I mean, that's what that would have to be, right?
They got Deontay Thornton, who's like faster than anybody in college football, but apparently can't.
He can't catch football. So.
Or get on the field for more than a couple snaps. Squirrel White's pretty fast. But, yeah, it's so. Last year, Jalen Hyatt definitely was hooker to Hyatt was just something you're just not going to get every year.
No.
I mean, that was something
It's very
else.
clear at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, as good as Squirrel White was on Saturday, right? I mean, Alabama could not stop Jalen Hyatt last year. I mean, if they played for 12 quarters, Jalen Hyatt may have scored 15 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, they just could not stop him.
Every, sixth play was a bomb touchdown to Jalen Hyatt.
Right, and they just don't have that. And Squirrel White's a good player, which, by the way, I do think that was a good throw by Milton. He put a little bit of mustard on it. That was a heck of a catch by Squirrel White.
The TD you're saying?
The touchdown.
Yeah.
That was a heck of a catch.
Yes, it was.
By Squirrel White. And, that's what, in terms of, the Milton conversation, if I'm him and they're keeping him in there, which I think they will moving forward, I'm going to Squirrel White more often down the field because he's shown you that while he's not the biggest guy, I mean, think about the South Carolina game, the catch he made in that game, and now the catch he's made for you in the end zone in this one. He comes down with the football, and if I'm a quarterback, I'm trusting him down the field until he gives me a reason not to at this point.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, he's the thing is they're in a situation where it's him and then there's a gap, and then really it's Keaton, and then there's another gap. So,
which is a problem.
Yeah, but again, it's just like, man, if you just take the layups, you'd have some good numbers yourself. I mean,
it's hard to
he's
explain.
Got speed. It's just one of those things. If it's so easy, it's just But he obviously can make really tough contested catches. But they miss Brew McCoy for sure. I do honestly, at least, and they did it some, of course. And the screen game is fine. I mean, it's good to have that mixed in. They were trying to swings a lot to get right in space. But I do feel like with McCoy out now, they're a little less screen obsessed, which is kind of nice.
Probably because they can't block it. Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather see just again, those quick, even if it's just a first read slant or a quick out to try to 7-8 yards, and there was more of that in the first half, and it worked.
Yeah.
And Alabama started really getting tighter with their coverage, and Tennessee doesn't have the receivers to make them pay like they did last year.
John on the text line says, Senior Day prediction, Milton starts the game, has Tennessee up 21-3 in the first half. Tennessee puts in Nico, loses to Vandy 27-24. UT fan base spends the offseason melting down. This is from John on the text line.
Are you a Vanderbilt fan, John?
Thank you, John. I think they'd probably have to be up a little bit more than 21-3 to make the switch.
Yes.
But I like the prediction. That's good.
Yeah, I like the creativity. Lance says, how was Squirrel's catch number 10? Only number 10? Is that the question?
I guess.
I mean, I didn't see all the other ones. It was very good. Imagine there were some better plays than that.
I would imagine so. It was a very good catch. So let's get into the refs because a lot of people are discussing that on the text line. Obviously, that's been a very popular topic of conversation on Vol Twitter after the game. The officiating, Alabama finishes with one catch for 5 yards, or one penalty for 5 yards, in the game. Josh Heupel asked about the penalties, which, by the way, I'm reading your column on Tennessee, Alabama yesterday. The way that you termed the question that he was asked was amazing. Heupel asked a friendly question in the post-game press conference about the officiating, and Heupel basically stayed silent for about 20 seconds and then asked the question, hey, was that long enough silence for you? Yeah, there you go. So obviously a lot of talk about the officiating since the game on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, we should. Did you ever hear that?
Oh, I heard it.
Yeah, we should play that. My man Austin Price coming with I like the Mortal Kombat reference.
Felt like you guys are having to play two-hand touch, and the Alabama's having to play Mortal Kombat back there for them to make a call.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know. That was very theatrical. Okay, let's play it.
Did you feel like that it was a bit one-sided?
Okay, wait. Actually, pause it. We go back a little bit because I got to hear the whole thing from Austin there. Oh, okay. All right. Well, anyway, right before that, Austin Price said, Mortal Kombat two-hand touch, right?
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat, and they're playing two-hand touch. All right, start it from the top again. This is really good. More
Did you feel like that it was a bit one-sided?
Next question. Yeah. Was that long enough silence?
So there you go. That was him thumping, by the way. He's thumping his fingers on the podium, on the
Seemed like
lectern.
he was a little upset.
Yeah. So, it's go ahead. You comment on the officiating.
Look, were there some calls in the game that I had a problem with? Yes. Look, my biggest issue, I told you this before the show, my biggest issue with the officials in the game was the inability to spot the football. Like, it was unbelievable to me, some of the calls they were making. And some of this was on Alabama's side. Some of it was on Tennessee's side. They had a run, like Jace McClellan had a run in the second quarter on the drive where they scored a touchdown. He was a full yard short, maybe a yard and a half short of the first down. They just handed it to him, and they just kept going. Tennessee, on the last drive of the half, before they threw the touchdown to Castles, they had to pick up the first down, move the chains. Milton got like 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, and they marked him short. And he, like Gary Danielson on the broadcast, was like, yeah, I think he got it. He's like 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. So that was my biggest issue with the officiating all day, was the inability to spot the football correctly. But, I mean, look, I understand the penalty discrepancy when Alabama has one penalty for 5 yards. You're going to freak out. The officiating was not in my top 7 reasons why they lost that game on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, look, there was the TD, Tyler Barron, the right tackle, had his
his
basically had his hand. Yeah, he put his arm around his neck. Now, here's the thing about that play. I love screenshots as evidence is always great. Now watch the play. He got it there. He took it off really fast. It still should have been called, but he did a good job of like quickly trying to hide the holding. They didn't call it.
Guys, if we want to go snap by snap about holding penalties, just take a look at. You can screenshot it on somebody on every play.
You can. Now, one call for 5 yards, that is low. Alabama's a team that has been penalized. I think an average like 7 for 55. That's what Sparks wrote about that. Okay, that's fine. Let's also, Elijah Herring had a play where I guess he was trying to punch the ball out, but he basically like punched McClellan in the
top of the
head.
Yeah.
By the way, right after that play, the video people at Alabama somehow like got that play replayed like 4 straight times for the refs, and the whole crowd was like, "Oh!" And I was like, that's incredible work to get like, boom, show it again.
Just keep going.
That's a 15 that I don't know how you don't call. To make this about officials is such loser talk. It really is.
It is. And look, the bottom line is college football officiating a lot of times, it's not very good. We've talked about that before. It's not very good. Like they've got a tough job, and it's hard to do at full speed. I get all that. A lot of times it's not very good. And like I said, I had a problem with some calls on Saturday. But I guess my overarching point, Joe, is if you're walking away, if you're a Tennessee fan from that game, and you think the officiating is why they lost, then I don't really know what to say to you.
Well, so I'm seeing some Vols fans who are just going all in on that. And now that's great. So now the Alabama fans from last year can cry about the officiating and blah, blah, blah. What, they get called for like 17 or something in that game?
I woke up this morning, the first thing I saw was Tennessee Alabama fans yelling at each other about the pass interference call from last year's game.
Yeah, right.
I was like, geez, what are we doing?
And you know what? The Alabama didn't lose because of the officials last year. That was the right call to me. And also, like, Tennessee won, and also Saturday, Alabama won. Please stop. But, hey, if you guys want to just talk about officials all back and forth all day, I guess, go for it.
615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the officiating in the Tennessee and Alabama game. More thoughts as well from Tennessee's loss to Alabama. All on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. All that coming up. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
You need to give Ryan Tannehill a 2-year extension.
There haven't been too many coaching changes for the Predators.
And your source for Nashville sports.
I think that's what the Titans need.
Players who can score.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation. Call or text the Game at 615-737-1025.
This week's Nashville's Best Deal is from Nashville's largest axe throwing venue, Bad Axe Throwing Nashville. Go to thegamenashville.com/deals to get a $50 gift card for $25. Aim for a great time while enjoying panoramic downtown views, live music, curated cocktails from the full bar, and a Northwoods-inspired menu with a Southern twist. Bad Axe Throwing Nashville welcomes axe throwers and non-axe throwers alike. Bad Axe Throwing Nashville, 648 Fogg Street.
Now, your Game Center update.
This update is delivered by Black Tie Moving. I'm Nick Keyser. The Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Miami Dolphins 31-17 last night on Sunday Night Football. Wide receiver A.J. Brown had his 5th consecutive game with at least 125 receiving yards. He ties the longest streak in NFL history with Calvin Johnson and Pat Studstill. Here's what Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni had to say about A.J. after the game.
Nobody catches the ball as pretty as A.J. Brown. Nobody. I can't tell you how many times at practice. I'm just in awe of good wide receivers and, just the skill that they have. And, nobody goes and snags the football like him.
And the Nashville Predators took down the San Jose Sharks 5-1 over the weekend to kick off a 3-game homestand. Sam Fagemo scored in his debut, while 4 skaters had at least 2 points for the Nashville Predators. And over in the MLB postseason, the Texas Rangers won 9-2 last night, forcing a winner-take-all Game 7 tonight at 7 p.m. This update has been delivered by Black Tie Moving. Use the promo code GAME to score 10% off your next move.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt.
And I think he's got a coach
shot by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser here with you on this Monday morning. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Tennessee falls to Alabama 34-20. We'll take your thoughts on that. We're going to get into the weekend of NFL action as well. Coming up later this hour, Corey Curtis from News 2 will join us at 8 o'clock. So looking forward to all that. Right now, let's go to the text line. Drew on the text line, talking about the officiating in the Tennessee-Alabama game. Says, the officiating did suck. I felt like Vegas called after the first quarter and said, we got to let old Nicky win one in Bama. But the reason they lost was the play calling. They ran into situations where they clearly needed to pass. Milton consistently overthrew players in clutch situations. They crapped their pants in the big game. I thought they were ready, but they gift wrapped that game and did everything they could to give that game to Alabama. This is from Drew on the text line.
Yeah, the old let Nick win. I saw somebody, too, also was like, this ref is a real estate agent in Tuscaloosa.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Just again, I mean, we have to now have the Bama fans from last year resurface. So, okay, I asked Zach. Zach says, Football and Other F-Word says, not that it's unique to UT fans, but there isn't a fan base who uses a crutch of refs to regularly explain away losses more than the Vols. It's every sport, too, not just football. Wow. That is quite a charge there from Zach. You think is that fair?
No. I mean, look.
I mean,
when you live around a large group of fan base, you always think that they're the ones that –
right. If you ask Michigan State fans who just watched their team lose 49-0 and also put up a picture of Hitler before the game, they'll
I missed that one.
Yeah, they'll tell you. Oh, you really?
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. Well, don't have time to get into it, but they'll tell you that that's Michigan fans. If you go, I mean, like you said, I mean, Alabama, Auburn. If you get into that discussion, I'm sure Auburn fans will say, but Alabama, every time they don't get the call, they cry about it, and Bama fans say, So I think, Zach, yes, I think you are. I think you're being provincial there, Zach. How about that?
Cam on the text line says, but notice most Bama fans are not saying the game was fairly called, but instead they're just saying, well, that was us last year, and you weren't saying anything. Last year, Bama had 17 penalties, while Tennessee had 6. There was a couple important calls in that game that didn't rack up the actual yardage it should have. The penalty on the kickoff killed us, really helped keep building their momentum. Talking about the, I guess – wasn't really what penalty on the kickoff are we talking about here? I just remember the fair catch on the kickoff.
Yeah,
that was called the fair catch.
I think that's what he means, right?
Okay.
I think, and someone asked, like, have we talked about that? Yes, and also, first of all, the clapping penalty. I mean, that is a thing, and
that one I had a big problem with.
Well, but see, even in the press box, because like Staples, like, oh yeah, they got him for that. Like, I mean, that's been sort of an emphasis.
Right, but he was looking at he's looking to the sideline and he's looking at his cornerback, signaling something.
Yeah.
It was a terrible call.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
that one I did have.
I didn't see the replay of that from the press box. It looked like it was like, oh yeah, like you could see it before they called it. You know what I mean? But that's a thing. The clapping, I don't know. The fair catch thing, I did not know the rule. It's a weird rule, like you said. It's ticky-tack. I mean, we can go through. There were some calls that were bad that cost Tennessee. But, like, it's just not the story of the game. And last year, the PI, I forgot that they had 17 penalties. Bama did in that game. But like
a lot of them were false starts, but yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. So you got a lot of pre-snap stuff because of the environment. I mean, the PI last year was the right call. It was late in the play, and it wasn't like a complete mugging, but it was the right call. Yeah. Everybody stopped. Tennessee won last year. Bama won this year.
They did. And they won. Look, when you get outscored 27-0 in the second half, it's hard to sit there and look at officiating and be like, yeah, that's why they lost. I mean, you got your butt kicked in the second half. That's what happened. I mean, you got totally dominated in the second half. And it is amazing, like, I had some Alabama friends talking to me about this. Just like how different they can look from like half to half so far this year. I mean, there are times where they just look like, can they get out of their own way offensively? And then they come out and look like they did in the second half. It's not a Tennessee thing. They've done that a couple of times so far this year.
Yeah, and now, I mean, they've got a path to Atlanta and I guess maybe to get in the playoff. But like that team to me is not – they should not be one of the 4 teams in the college football playoff. I don't think they're good enough. I do give them credit for being a resilient team.
Yes.
Because they almost were like knocked out in this one. And, as some people have pointed out, let's also remember they still have a lot more talent in Tennessee. So, I mean, I think in the second half, some of it also was just like a little bit of a will and just some better players, kind of winning some of those matchups that they weren't winning as dominantly in the first half.
I got a text that says 1 or 2 bad calls can totally change the momentum/course of the game. Tennessee's pass rush is one of the best in the nation, but Alabama didn't hold once. That's from an unnamed texter on the text line.
Yeah. Again, I don't disagree. Like 1 for 5 is a head scratcher. And I'm sure that there could have been a holding. And again, we talked about there was a holding with Barron, the arm around his neck on a touchdown. So, look, I don't disagree. But there are a whole bunch of plays, and they had nothing to do with the officials that were more important in changing the game. Zach is, by the way, is a Bama fan. Ah, I see, Zach. So okay. He says, but it's an objective observation being an SEC fan for 34 years.
It is not.
Now, I do think that Tennessee's Twitter presence is special.
It's a little different. That I'll grant.
But
it's a little bit different.
But I don't follow Tiger Twitter, as in LSU Tiger Twitter. What are those people like? I mean, I can't think they're much different. Like the ones who are really outspoken on Twitter. I mean,
God bless all Twitter.
It's it's the only reason I'm still hanging around there.
So overall, if you're a Tennessee fan today, obviously you're crushed by this Alabama game. You are 5-2. You have another road game coming up this week, taking on Kentucky. I do think there are going to be a lot of Tennessee fans as the week goes on talking about a quarterback change. It's not happening this week. I don't think.
Oh, no, not after. I asked Milton, by the way, if that was his best performance.
Yeah.
And he said, no. He said, that's still to come. Then I'm like, and then someone was like, so he knocked down your idea. And I'm like, actually, I think he just confirmed that he thinks it was his best, right? Because his whole thing is like, no, there's even better
There's
than
even better coming
It's not
up.
like he pointed at anything before it as better,
No.
right? That to me, that was his best. That was his best game, easily his best half. That was a better half. I mean, you could say the Clemson game in the Orange Bowl was, I guess, better game than this. But
well, look, the numbers are good. He played really well in the first half. It's when you score 0 points in the second half, it's hard to.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I mean, his best game is still just it's not great.
Right. Like he. Again, I did not when the final whistle blew on Saturday, as I'm sitting up there in anguish in the Predators press box, I wasn't sitting there thinking, Joe Milton lost the game for Tennessee today. Like there's a lot of things. I mean, Heupel, not great on Saturday, and from a lack of an adjustment standpoint, from a play calling standpoint, from certainly a decision standpoint on fourth down, like it wasn't very good.
And just
from Josh Heupel,
and just his team melting down like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to go on him. Josh from Dixon says, I must have woke up in Bama this morning. It sounds like Bama Sports Talk Radio. I was listening to some Bama Sports Talk Radio as I was starting to drive yesterday. We do not sound like Bama Sports Talk Radio. Heard about someone yesterday was like, and how dare they ever make Josh Heupel Coach of the Year? I hope they learn their lesson. I was like, oh, boy, this is going to be good.
Yeah, it's real nice. Do we sound like a bunch of – are we WHMR for Alabama today?
Bunch of Bama homers.
Because that's me.
Here.
Definitely love me some Alabama. It's
yeah.
good stuff.
Your dad does.
He does. He does.
He's enjoying his time today, isn't he?
He's thoroughly enjoying his time today. There's no question about that. The Heupel part of this, and we're going to get into this a little bit more at 7:45, but some of the conversation on Heupel, I guess it's not surprising because, Joe, there was some of this after the Florida game too, which was even more incredible to me, but – Heupel's going to lose some football games as they move forward. Like after every loss, does it have to turn into I just don't know. Like there's this one guy on Twitter, and we'll talk about this a little bit more at 7:45. But he was talking about how Heupel's hit his ceiling, and it's like, well, how could you possibly know that? Like he may have, like he may never have an 11-2 season again, like he did a year ago. I have no clue. But to sit here and think that that Josh Heupel has hit his ceiling, how could you possibly know that?
Right.
It's just it boggles my mind.
It reminds me of people who absolutely know that Caleb Williams is going to be the greatest quarterback of all time. Different, but same idea. Yeah.
Other people think he should just not play anymore.
Although some people are now like, yeah, there's that. Also, some people are like, maybe Drake May's better.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough day for both of them on Saturday.
Yes. Yeah, but look, Heupel won 11 games in his second year after taking over a total bleep show. He had incredible quarterback play. So that's what some people say, generational quarterback, and other than that, he's an 8-9 win coach.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. I don't know. I think if Nico turns out to be what they thought he is, and you look at how this defense is getting better, you could see how they could be awfully good in the next couple of years.
615-737-1025. We'll get back into Tennessee and Alabama a little bit later in the program. Coming up next, we'll go through the weekend of action in the NFL, including some important results in the AFC South. That's coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Get Black Friday deals earlier than ever at Electronic Express. Get the gifts you want and save up to 40% throughout the entire store. Beat the crowds and save on hundreds of 4K TVs, appliances, computers, and more. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing on items like an LG 75-inch 4K TV, now only $649, or a Samsung French door refrigerator, only $13.99. Black Friday deals are here at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
This week's Nashville's Best Deal is from Nashville's largest axe-throwing venue, Bad Axe Throwing Nashville. Go to thegamenashville.com/deals to get a $50 gift card for $25. Aim for a great time while enjoying panoramic downtown views, live music, curated cocktails from the full bar, and a Northwoods-inspired menu with a Southern twist. Bad Axe Throwing Nashville welcomes axe throwers and non-axe throwers alike. Bad Axe Throwing Nashville, 648 Fogg Street.
When Smashville wants to rock. We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz.
We're losing too many of our friends, neighbors, and loved ones to fentanyl poisoning. Nearly 75% of overdose deaths in Nashville involve fentanyl, but you can save a life with training and naloxone. STARS, Nashville's regional overdose prevention specialists, are here to teach you how to recognize and respond to an overdose and how you can save a life. Call 615-393-6980 or visit starsnashville.org. This project is funded under a grant contract with the State of Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
Actor Portrayal, based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of two, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to the Tennessee Men's Clinic in Franklin, got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough about them. Their providers took care of me, followed up, and made sure I had a treatment plan that actually works. It's awesome. If I were you, and you're like me, I'd give them a call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. If you're like most guys, they'll make it happen for you too.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments extra. Results vary.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Good morning. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty.
I had the radio on. I'm listening to
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keys are here with you on this Monday morning. Taking your thoughts, 615-737-1025. Joe, a wild weekend in the NFL. Some results that were a little bit head-scratching, including the New England Patriots taking down the Buffalo Bills. Mike Vrabel in attendance in the owner's box with Robert Kraft in New England being inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame this weekend, and the Patriots, in honor of Vrabel, taking down the Buffalo Bills 29-25 yesterday. Your thoughts?
Thank you for bringing that up. How dare he? How dare Mike Vrabel go to another team and wear a red jacket?
I saw some Titans fans actually upset about him sitting in the owner's box. with Robert Kraft.
Yeah. There was a tweet from a guy who covers them for like the Boston Herald, I think. It was like, has this ever happened before? Like an active coach in season, the coach of another team in the owner's box of a different team. That's a fair question.
It is a fair question.
Maybe not, but yeah, it's kind of a
unique
special circumstance there for Vrabel getting into the Patriots Hall of Fame. So, yeah, I'd say.
You think they were working out trade details while they were sitting there together in the box? So it's like, what would you give up
for me
in order to acquire me?
It's like, I'm the GM too. What would you give up for me? Trade myself.
First and third?
Yeah.
First and second?
I mean,
what do you think?
What is it possible that Jared today is going to flip out about this, about Vrabel being in there?
I hope so. It's certainly possible.
I am so here for it.
It's possible.
He's like Titans losses away from just straight up fire Vrabel. He's about two.
Yeah.
About two away. Yeah, I tweeted like a joke tweet about that, and then some Titans fans thought I really was mad at him, and I was like, this is why. One more reason not to engage in Twitter. But, yeah, how about that win for the Pats, by the way? I mean, big-time stuff from Mac Jones.
It really was.
In that game. Some serious big-time throws. You got a bunch of teams. The Bears get win 2. The Pats get win 2.
Broncos.
The Giants get win 2. The Broncos get win 2. A bunch of teams that are trying to fight with the Titans for Caleb Williams who are winning. So
maybe.
No, here we go.
I got a sneaky contender for a very high draft pick.
Oh,
that
yeah?
I could show you on film yesterday. Yes.
Are you done with Jordan Love now? You done?
No, but they're very bad. I can tell you that. So they're going to be in the mix for a pretty high pick. Maybe not number 1 overall, but they're going to be pretty bad. They're pretty terrible.
You think somebody will trade for LaFleur? Let's get some more coach trades going.
I'd give him away for a 7th-round pick, so that'd be nice. The Browns taking down the Colts yesterday, 39-38. What a wild game that was. So the Colts are leading, and Deshaun Watson gets hurt, wasn't able to come back in. P.J. Walker comes in, not P.J. Harvey. And P.J. Walker throws 15 of 32, 178 yards, does throw the pick in that game. Gardner Minshew yesterday, 15 of 23, 305 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick against that Cleveland Browns defense. He looked pretty good out there.
Apparently Jim Schwartz is the problem, huh?
I guess so.
Jim Schwartz, you're the problem.
Also 168 yards on the ground for the Colts, 75 from Jonathan Taylor, 57 from Zach, don't call me Le'Veon Bell Moss out there for the Colts. The only big problem I had, it was a good game. Colts fans are really upset about the call at the end of the game on pass interference, which we'll get to in just in a second. The only problem I had with the Colts yesterday was their horrific uniform combination they were wearing, that black helmet and whatever those blue jerseys were. Just terrible. They look like a giant bruise out there.
Those were bad. Look, I agree with Colts fans that it's unfortunate you get the strip sack, basically, right? The game's over.
Yep.
But that was the right call. I mean, that was the right call. It was illegal use of hands, and he totally impeded him way farther than you're allowed to do that. You got to call that. I agree that the pass interference on the Browns in the end zone was a bad call.
Bad.
Let's remember, though, that was also 1st and goal. So, they move it up because of that, and then eventually they get the run in. But you don't know what happens in the sequence after that. If they you have 3 more shots from there. You don't know what's going to happen. I agree, but don't pretend it wasn't like it was like 4th and goal and they called that. It was 1st down.
Yep.
The biggest thing that bothered me about that game. So they score, and they're up a point, and there's 15 seconds left.
Yep.
The Colts have 2 timeouts. They have a very slim chance, but they have 2 timeouts and 15 seconds left. We've seen it. I mean, think about that AFC title game a couple years ago. Shane Steichen calls a timeout before the 2-point. And I don't care if you had 9 guys on defense. Let them have whatever. Take a penalty. Let them have the 2. How could you possibly cut your timeouts and have on the 2-point conversion? I'm sorry, but that's one of those in the moment coaching things where you're like, dude, that is just malpractice. That's, somewhat reminiscent of the Titans in London that's letting Kyle Phillips go back there and, give the Ravens 3 free points.
It's bad.
That's bad.
I mean, it probably doesn't end up mattering anyway, but you can't do that in that situation.
It probably doesn't matter, but you don't know, and you sure as heck have to have both of those timeouts.
Absolutely. Yeah, no question about
that. Whether they're up 1 on you or 3 on you, doesn't matter.
So a 39-38 win by the Browns against the Colts. The Colts dropped to 3-4. Jacksonville already played on the Thursday night game this week, so they're in first place in the division right now. Look, I still, even in the loss, the Colts look like they're better than the Titans. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about it. They look like they're better than the Titans. I mean, Minshew, I don't believe is like some long-term quarterback answer, but he's pretty good. Like, he's a decent option to have for them, and honestly, probably should have been starting the whole time over Anthony Richardson.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, if you're going to go with the rookie, go with the rookie.
I'm of the belief they shouldn't have gone with the rookie, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Well, they got him hurt, so
They did.
you're right now.
They did.
But Minshew is definitely – he's at the top of the list probably of like the journeyman sort of fringe starter backup guys who you plug in and he can play some pretty good football for you. He was good. I mean, Jim Schwartz had no answers for him.
He didn't.
How about that?
What a performance by Jim Schwartz in that defense. 38 to the Colts yesterday.
Also, have we mentioned the Lions?
That's what I was about to get to.
Have we mentioned them?
38-6 against the Lions. What a beatdown by the Ravens yesterday. Lamar Jackson.
A mighty team that will not yield.
357 yards, 3 touchdown passes for Lamar Jackson yesterday. Pretty good. They're 5-2, and I feel like nobody's talking about them in the AFC. They're just – here they are, and they just continue to win.
That's the thing. I was listening to the ESPN radio this morning, unsportsmanlike.
Correct.
And they were talking about how this is more about the Lions not being good than the Ravens being bad. First of all, I'm enjoying the Lions. I mean, let's all pump the brakes on. They're the best team in the NFC. I mean, they're not on the top tier, okay? I mean, they're probably going to win the division because the division is cheeks, but they're not. They're a pretty good team. The Ravens with Lamar and that offense, Monken, what he's done and what Lamar is doing. I mean, with everything, he has receivers now. He has multiple options along with Andrews. Man, if they just had, honestly, if they just had one more running back to go with Gus Edwards, but they, to me, are creeping into the discussion of they should be taken seriously as a contender.
Yeah, I agree.
AFC.
Speaking of contenders in the AFC, Kansas City 31, LA 17 yesterday. The Chiefs improved to 6-1. Mahomes 32 of 42, 424 yards passing, 4 touchdowns and a pick, and Travis Kelce 12 catches, 179 yards and a touchdown yesterday. The firing the coach part of this, it may be getting close to being time for Brandon Staley.
Yeah, they
suck.
Yeah, not very good. Herbert doesn't look very good.
He does not.
That seems like one of those situations. I know they brought in Kellen Moore and everything, but one of those situations where, and maybe Moore takes over if they fire Staley in season, but you've got to get the most out of Justin Herbert. Indy Ben is here with refs robbed us of what was otherwise a great game. I hope you're not complaining about the strip sack. That was the right call. I mean, the PI call, it was uncatchable. You could call holding. Again, it was 1st and goal. I mean, it's so far beyond the refs there. But I get it. Tough loss. You want to blame the refs. Ryan from Chicago is talking trash about Jordan Love on the text line for you. Just want you to know.
I mean, he's not been very good lately. Now, if you're the Bears,
meanwhile, the Bears are better without Justin Fields at quarterback.
If you're the Bears, you might want to actually beat him at some point before you. I mean, there is that.
You might want to.
The Chargers part of this, I'm pulling up their schedule right now. So they're 2-4. Obviously, they've invested a ton in that roster. We talked about that when the Titans beat them here. You're 2-4. You just get thumped yesterday by Kansas City. Shout out to Josh Palmer. Good game for him yesterday. 5 catches, 133 yards for Josh Palmer. But I'm looking at their schedule, and it's really difficult to figure out how they're that bad. They've got the Bears coming up, so you would think that they could win that game, which is a Sunday night football game, so get excited. Bears and Chargers next weekend. Then it's the Jets, the Lions, the Packers, the Ravens, and the Patriots. Like, they should win a lot of those games, and yet I watched them play, and I have a feeling they're going to end up like 7-10 and miss the playoffs. With all that talent, everybody they have on their roster, they look like a 7-10 football team.
Okay, say that schedule again.
They have the Bears, and then the Jets on the road, the Lions at home, Packers on the road, Ravens at home, Patriots on the road.
Yeah, I think
at 2-4.
Yeah, I think you may be right there. That's That's. I think you got a good point there. I'm sorry, I've got someone asking for the Lions fight. So I'm not going to sing the Lions fight song today. But I will say that my little brother went to the game, was very excited. Didn't work out.
I got to say, 38-6. I did not see that one coming.
Apparently, Jared said the Ravens are bad. Is that right?
Well, they look pretty good.
LD's always coming to tattle on Jared here.
Yes. We'll have more on the in a weekend of NFL action coming up next. Get into the Titans as well. 615-737-1025, our phone number. The Rob Rant at 7:45. Corey Curtis at 8 o'clock. All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
When you want all the...
Going in and the score. Blast the score. He risks one, they score.
And don't forget the...
Oh, what a stop. Sliding across to make the save. The backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is... Smashville. We have you covered. Hear every Predators game. Right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3, The Game. And The Game Nashville app.
Jewelry business, it's in my blood. I've been doing it all my life, and it's my passion.
Meet Daniel Sabalas, a third-generation jeweler at Genesis Diamonds.
This line of work, it's all about honesty and trust. It's about building relationships.
And that's what drew Daniel to Genesis, where it's all about education, transparency, and respect for each customer.
It's based on a family business mentality, and that's how we are. We're here to educate, to guide you, and we make it very easy. So we really go out of our way to educate customers in the right way. There's no stress level, there's no tension. The customer can feel that.
All this while providing the guaranteed best value price.
I've never seen a company that has the best price like this that I've seen anywhere. We are a powerhouse of diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds. No commission salespeople, no pricing games, no risk, no pressure, no cutting corners.
Genesis Diamonds is going to give you the best price, best quality, guaranteed, no matter what.
Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here with More Great Homes. Located just steps from the White Bridge Shopping and Dining District of Nashville's Hillwood neighborhood, 80 Brookwood Terrace offers 2 homes with over 4,300 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, formal office, media room, a 2-car garage, and a 1-year builder warranty. Contact my team today at tjandersonhomes.com for more info. Want your home listing to be seen and heard by home buyers? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty, office number 615-432-2919.
Come try Calabria Brick Oven Pizzeria. Their pizza is cooked to perfection, but that's not all they're known for. Try one of their delicious appetizers, salads, fresh calzones, and they have a full bar and dessert. Calabria has been a Mount Juliet staple for 7 years now and has a new location in the heart of Goodlettsville off Long Hollow Pike. Come join the family at Calabria. After all, life's too short to eat bad pizza.
We gather together in communities across the nation to remember and honor, to celebrate and support, to light the night. We are LLS, and when we walk, cancer runs. Find your local event at lightthenight.org.
Blue Raider fans, your home for all the MTSU football and men's basketball action is on 93.3 Classic Hits and 95.1 Classic Hits in the borough. Catch the action all season long with Chip Walters on the call. Go Blue Raiders!
If it's important to Nashville,
I'll put it out right now.
It's important to Jared Stillman.
Like, that's it.
He's not afraid to ask the tough questions.
Something is going on, and the question is, what does it mean?
Or give the strong opinion.
And just needed the bozo offensive coordinator to stop ruining the quarterback.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and The Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Penny Hardaway, University of Memphis coach. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5, The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are live from our 102.5 The Game studio, brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Got some tickets to give away to see the Preds take on the Vancouver Canucks tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena. Be caller number 5, 615-737-1025. Caller number 5 will win a pair of tickets to see the Preds take on the Vancouver Canucks tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena. 615-737-1025. Taking your thoughts on all things NFL. Titans with a bye week over the weekend. They're back at it this week. And, Joe, it's now back into game week. I'm watching the Falcons play yesterday. They get a win, a last-second field goal to take down the Bucs. So the Falcons coming in here this week. Arthur Smith and company That's a big win for them yesterday in the division against Tampa Bay. And I'm watching them play, and Ritter has been pretty bad so far this year. He did make some plays yesterday. He had a fumble that he just dropped by the goal line, which was interesting to watch yesterday too. So I still I look at Ritter, and I think maybe the Titans have a pretty good chance defensively to hang in there because I don't think he's very good. I like Arthur Smith as a play caller. Robinson, we'll see. I don't know what was going on with him yesterday, whether it was a migraine or whatever it was with him not feeling well, but basically didn't get the ball in that game. So will he be better? Is he going to be completely healthy by the time the Titans game rolls around? We'll wait and see on that front. But obviously, we're going to spend a lot of this week talking about the quarterback situation for the Titans heading into this one. But this is a game that even if Tannehill is playing, is a losable game for the Titans on this guy. I'm not sure there's a game that's not losable for the Titans based on what we've seen to this point. But this is a big one to get the Oilers throwback jerseys coming up this weekend. So I'm sure the fans will be fired up about that. Maybe Will Levis makes his first start and he's in a Oilers jersey. What about that? That'd be something.
That would be something, right? Yeah, it's going to be one of those two guys, and it's absolutely a losable game. I mean, the Falcons are. Ritter has been bad. I actually watching yesterday. I mean, I thought he did some good things. He was not terrible yesterday. Turning it over is still a problem, like you said. You got basically you're running in for a touchdown, and then it's not really a game late, and they pretty much handled the Bucs on the road, which, by the way, I remember a week ago when the Lions did that, and it was like, ooh, Lions won at the Bucs. Wow, impressive. Yeah. Bucs aren't good. Falcons are okay. They're certainly good. They do play physical. They've gotten better on defense this year, and they run the heck out of the football, especially when they have both Algier and Robinson going.
I'm sorry. I'm just laughing at Wes and Clarksville's text. He said, after watching the Eagles game and seeing A.J. Brown ball out, I can see why John Robinson is gone. Like, we're just now coming to the conclusion that A.J. Brown is helping out in Philadelphia. Yeah. Aaron on the text line says, you should type John Robinson into the Twitter search and read the very calm reactions during the Eagles game last night.
Yeah, well, someone was like, I want to hire John Robinson and fire him again for the A.J. Brown trade. Yeah. It's a tough scene for the I've been going back and forth with someone that's like, good for AJ that he got out of here so that he could flourish like this. And I'm like, well, he was good here. I mean, I don't know that he has 5 catches, or I'm sorry, I don't know that he has 125 plus yards, 5 straight games, which only Calvin Johnson in 2012 has ever done in the NFL. If he's here,
probably not.
I don't know about that, but I mean, he was also really good here. He'd be really good anywhere. That's why you keep a player like that.
But, hey, that's another good example of throwback jerseys. Looked good last night in Philadelphia. I think the Titans are going to look great on Sunday, aesthetically, and then we'll see how they play football.
Love the unis. Yeah. It's obviously the trading deadline. Is it possible something happens this week?
I don't know. A lot of chatter out there about Byard right now in terms of, could Byard be available? And by
pretty
chatter,
clear,
I mean
some people are
speculation and people are calling about it.
Yep, pretty clear some people are interested in Byard, which I get. If you trade a Byard, I mean, to me, you're punting on the season. So are the Titans ready to punt on the season? I know some of their fans are. There's a whole bunch of people in that building who have worked really hard to try to win football games this year.
I would love to know, what is the phone call that you've got to receive if you're Vrabel and Carthon? What's the compensation coming back your way? Really, okay, yeah, we'll do that with Kevin Byard. Because I can't imagine, Kevin Byard, I think is a really good player, obviously. I can't imagine you're giving up more than a fourth for him, right?
There's NFL people projecting a third.
Would you do that?
Well, I would do that if I'm ready to punt on my season. Right. I mean, you need draft capital. But it's not like 1 third-round pick is we'll drop everything, right? Yeah. I mean, if you're resolved to sell. That's not a deal that makes you sell. You have to be decided that you're going to sell. Right. And if you do, then, I would take the third-round pick for him at this point.
And it's a great point you bring up. I don't think there's a deal out there available that makes the Titans sell.
No.
They've got it's not like they've got, a bevy of first-rounders coming back their way if they start trading some of these people off. So it will have to have been an internal decision that they have made this week to go that route. And I still, as we sit here in the morning of October 23rd, just over a week before the deadline, I don't see him doing it. I think if you're a Titans fan, hoping for like a super active deadline of selling people off. I just don't think you're going to see it. I could be wrong, but I don't buy it.
Yeah, I mean we've seen a few receivers get traded in the league already, but I think there's a lot of fan bases who are hopeful that in the next week there's going to be some big things happen that are just going to be disappointed because they probably won't. And my guess is the Titans don't move anybody this week, and then maybe if they lose to the Falcons, maybe then some conversations that may have happened get rekindled. That's how I would see it playing out. I mean, I know it seems ridiculous if you want to look at it the way of, base it on this game and then go either this way or that way. But the bottom line is, if you lose at home to the Falcons and you're 2-5, to me, then it's a lot more easy to talk yourself into selling off some of your high-priced veterans, getting some draft capital, and just looking to next year.
Caleb on the text line says Titans could maybe use Deontay Foreman as well. A lot of former Titans making plays around the league. Foreman did have a big day yesterday. He had 16 carries, 89 yards, 2 touchdowns for the Bears.
I thought he had 3 touchdowns. You only had 2?
Only 2.
Oh,
well,
okay.
2 on the ground.
I think he might have caught one too.
He had one through the one through the air too. So 3 total.
3
touchdowns.
touchdown Foreman. Yeah. Running back's not their problem.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, could they use him? Sure, but I think they're also pretty set there at running back.
To be fair, Nate Davis has not been very good.
No.
Yeah, just get all the running backs.
Get all the running backs. Look, Deontay Foreman was good. It's good to see him continuing to make plays around the league.
He's a pretty good player.
Yeah, but I mean, if you want to talk about former Titans making plays that got away, there's really one guy that stands out above the others.
Josh Reynolds for the Lions.
Yes, Josh Reynolds is
who did a
making
great
plays
job.
left and right. Yes.
Yeah, it's you're just gonna have to. To me, I said this a long time ago. You should root for the guy.
I've been pretty happy this year in terms of I felt like last year we were talking about A.J. Brown so much.
Right.
And then this year it kind of felt like, okay, well, he just goes a separate way. Titans fans have kind of let it go. But just the numbers he's putting up are just dragging it back into the conversation of, oh, my God, he's had 125 yards receiving or more in 5 consecutive games. And then you look at this crap fest the Titans are throwing out there offensively, and you're just like, geez.
Yeah.
We're gonna look back and, the moment where the Titans franchise changed is that one. That's what it is.
No doubt. Yeah, and that's the thing. It had to be something extraordinary because you're right. It was kind of like, okay, he's on the Eagles now and move on and see about Traylon Burks, who, by the way, he's a big story this week.
Yes.
Traylon Burks. I mean, they need him back. They need him to make plays. But A.J. Brown's just dragging himself back in the conversation. He's just doing so well that you can't not talk about him.
Yeah, I mean, it's the other part. My dad and I were talking about this too, and I know it's probably nothing in terms of there's no correlation between it, but it is kind of amazing to me that we talked about the injuries during his time here, and he goes to Philadelphia, and it's just a clean bill of health ever since he stepped foot on the field in Philadelphia. Yeah. He's played every game. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that point was made in my whiny column the day after he was traded too. I was right. Commenters on that column, I'm waiting for your apologies.
Adam in Portland on the text line says, the only thing in the world I hate more than the NFL offseason is being in the middle of the season and having to look forward to the offseason. It's so depressing. By the way, the best week of the season for the Titans by far. Didn't lose, and also hopefully have a new quarterback taking snaps this week. Tighten up. This is from Adam from Portland,
then he
who was rejuvenated after the bye week.
Although then he adds, also every time I see AJ, I puke in my mouth. Look, what is this go to hell A.J. Brown? Come on. What did the guy ever do to you? This completely overblown.
He didn't trade himself.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, he played hardball. He and his agent played hardball with a contract.
Which, by the way,
gosh, trade him.
The exact same thing. This is the most incredible part. It was the exact same thing that Deebo Samuel did, and magically he ended up signed with 49ers.
Yep. He's pretty good when he's healthy. He's
had
more injury issues than AJ has since then.
Let me ask you a question. I'm dead serious about this, too. I still think, over the large part, when you factor in the entire equation, John Robinson's a decent general manager. He just obviously has made a terrible move. Is this one move going to keep him out of getting another general manager job? I mean, he's not anywhere right now.
Yeah.
Is he not going to be a GM again in the league based on the A.J. Brown trade?
I mean, that's a hard one for me to buy, but I get it.
It's why he got fired. I don't care what anybody else says over there. It's why he got fired.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you would think that if he wants to get back into the mix, that the entirety of the track record. The thing is, it's not just right. I mean, it's also the drafts and a lot of other things. Think about Dupree, Beasley, Clowney, Julio, Farley, Isaiah Wilson, Dylan Radins.
Shout out to Julio for getting in there last night too, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, it was a pretty sharp decline in overall performance there for a couple of years at the end. But I'm with you. I still think overall he has a good track record as a GM, and I would think he would have another chance if he wants to get back into it. Maybe he doesn't want to get back into it.
Maybe not. I don't know. By the way, Julio one catch for 3 yards last night. So
yeah, I saw him out there running some routes, though. He was talking.
That means that he and A.J. Brown, though, combined for 11 catches and 140 yards and a touchdown. It's pretty good.
There you go. His mentor. I saw that Julio got asked last week, like, do you still have anything left in the tank? He's like, left in the tank, just wait and see. That's like exactly what he was saying here, too. But he's back in the league, so good for him.
I'm interested to see how that goes. Coming up next, it's time for the Rob Rant here on Robby and Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45. We will do that coming up next. Take your thoughts as well on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll have Corey Curtis from News 2 coming up at 8 o'clock. Make sure you join Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Derek Mason at Teddy's Tavern, located across from the Bridgestone Arena Plaza this Sunday from 9:30 to 11:30. They'll break down the Titans' Week 8 matchup against the Falcons and give you the latest updates before the game. Our NFL pregame show presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and the Beast Unleashed. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode. It's Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mays.
Stomach Company.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Lee Company is the trusted expert for heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, and general maintenance for facilities throughout Kentucky and Tennessee. Our technology and expertise guides facility owners and managers to smart decisions. When you need a reliable partner to keep your facility profitable and running 24/7, we hope you'll think of us. Visit LeeCompany.com to learn more. That's LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need.
In 1972, a Nashville family business story began when Bill and Beverly Finley founded Volunteer Hose and Gasket. 3 generations have grown the business into the local industry leader supplying just about anything to anybody, from the largest of contractors to your neighbor that mows his own yard. Over 1 million items in stock: belts, belting accessories, gaskets, gauges, hose fittings, hydraulics, industrial hoses, lubricants, sealing products, tubing, fire protection, and more, all at volunteerhose.net. If Volunteer Hose and Gasket doesn't have it, then you probably don't need it. Call them at 615-242-0461.
When Smashville wants to rock.
I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Looking to the sky, saving, looking for a sign of life, 'cause it's too cold for you here.
We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz.
20 years ago, when Genesis Diamonds came to Nashville, this was one of the most expensive cities in America for diamond jewelry. Our radical approach and no middleman pricing changed that forever. And now we're doing it again, this time with lab-grown diamonds. We were shocked to find out what the other mall stores and the other big radio advertisers were charging. For example, they sell their platinum 4-carat VS2 lab-grown earrings for $13,480. Ours are 40% less with better diamonds. Their 5-carat lab-grown diamond earrings are $17,950. Ours are half that price with better quality, 50% less at Genesis. Looks like they might be going back to the old ways. If they're charging this much on lab-grown diamonds, kind of makes you wonder what else they're selling at the same outrageous markup. Nashville, we are not going backwards. At Genesis Diamonds, our non-commissioned trusted advisors are here to give you all the information with details you can trust and prices you can count on. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 1025 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
Every morning, first thing.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Don't make me angry.
Sometimes you have to tell someone to pound sand.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
This is the Rob Rant. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
We just let go of that rope. Got comfortable. Felt like we won the game already.
I really don't know what happened there. I guess they just got a lot of momentum going, and we just weren't able to come back.
It just wasn't assignment sound. Certain guys wasn't doing their job, taking turns. I'll take full responsibility for that just because I'm the quarterback, but also I lead this team. It's my team, so being able to take full responsibility in that and having guys assignment sound for the next game is going to be very important.
Jordan Love. It's time of the day, time for the Rob Rant here on Robby and Rexrode. An impressive Jordan Love plug in there by Nick Keiser.
Nick, you really love Curb, huh? Big Curb guy?
Yeah, it's called meme music for me.
Okay.
Sure.
I mean, I love this song.
Do you?
Yes.
That's good.
And
You
show.
love it? So you listen to this like all the time in your car, Joe?
It's on his workout mix.
But when it's on, it makes me feel happy. I like Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Joe is classic.
So we've talked a lot about the Tennessee-Alabama game today to this point. Obviously, Alabama wins. And, Joe, you're going to have to help me with this one because you were there, so you can provide some context on all this. But I will say, I saw a quote that you tweeted out at 6:40
Well, he just
PM.
played it.
He did, and he just played it. And I'll read it again for those who may have missed it. Elijah Herring, talking about the Vols, what happened in the second half, said, quote, "We just let go of that rope, got comfortable, felt like we won the game already," was the quote from Elijah Herring. And I heard that, or I guess more accurately, read that from you, and my first thought was, huh? It's Alabama. How could you possibly think that the game was over at that point? Now, as you've pointed out, there were other players in the Tennessee locker room that did not really share the same feeling that way. Like Squirrel White talked about, he felt like the energy was good. And, there's a video that Alabama fans are loving right now of Tennessee coming out of the tunnel in the second half and just like yelling at Alabama players and Joe Milton firing a slingshot at him and stuff like that. So,
while in the tunnel?
Yeah, coming out of the tunnel. On the
Joe Milton fired the slingshot?
Into the second half, yeah. It's good stuff.
Okay.
So
I'll
they're loving
find
that.
that one.
They're loving that. But I read that quote and I was like, I hope that's not true because if you went into the locker room with a 20-7 lead against Alabama on the road and you thought to yourself, well, got him, game's over, I don't know what to say to that. So I'm hoping that this is just like Elijah Herring searching for answers after the game and not really being able to find some, because if that's really what happened, I have no words for that. It's just incredible to me.
Yeah, just sort of like, guys, listen.
We got him.
Now
Way to go.
Now I want you to enjoy the day. Go out there. This game's over. Just go out there, relax, and
It's just Alabama.
Yeah, I feel like it was just Herring trying to like find an answer, and the way he said it, I get it, but I don't think there was like some. I hope not like some widespread, complacency or something like that.
This is over.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. You know how it is, like when you try to, in a situation like this, one thing that no one will ever say on the losing side is, the other team's really good.
Right.
They were better. They just kind of kicked our butts. It's always like it's not what they did. It's what we didn't do.
Right.
But yes, as soon as I tweeted that, I saw you and Caroline and other people react to it. I'm like, oh man, Twitter comes down. But he just played it. I mean, he said those words.
He did.
It's like,
oh, Robbie's going nuts.
Yeah, I'm like, oh boy, better do some damage control on this for Elijah. These guys are asked these questions after this, and they're just gonna, they're like throwing out stuff,
Let's get into the chief part of my rant here.
Okay.
Vols fans, I love you. And I feel like I really don't want to have to do this like after every time they lose. We got to figure out a way, if you're a Tennessee fan, to get a little bit of perspective, like the idea, and I was in conversations with people on Twitter after this game about like the firing of Josh Heupel. It's just amazing to me. Like what? I don't know how you get there. I really don't know how, like, at this point, based on what we've seen, you start seriously considering the firing of Josh Heupel. And look, I get it. People are mad after. Nobody was more mad than I was on Saturday after that game. But how you allow your brain to get to, well, let's start talking about the job status of Josh Heupel is amazing to me. We talked earlier about like the conversation I was in about, Heupel reaching his ceiling. Maybe he has. I don't know. Like he went 11-2 last year. That's going to be hard to top. 11-2 and winning a New Year's Six bowl. That's a heck of an accomplishment. Tennessee hadn't done that in 20 years. So maybe he has reached his ceiling. But I'm looking at the total picture. He went 11-2 last year. There's still a chance this team could end up, I don't know, 8-4, 9-3, somewhere in that neighborhood, which, as you've talked about, is a pretty good year. No, it's not what you hoped. Like, you wanted to compete for the East and get to Atlanta and try to win an SEC championship, get into a college football playoff. It's not going to happen. But 8-4, 9-3, like overall, if let's say they do that and they go, let's say they go 8-4. You're talking about in 2 years, 11-2, 8-4. The first year he took over a crap roster and was 7-6. He's done a really good job to this point. Oh, by the way, he's got the highest-ranked quarterback recruit you had since Peyton Manning that's going to take over next year, and a top 10 recruiting class. Like, this idea that, like, Heupel is just done at Tennessee after the Alabama loss is mind-boggling to me.
Wow, that's total lunacy. I mean, that is total lunacy. I mean, if you want to talk about, like, the quarterback thing, was he inflated by Hendon Hooker? Okay, maybe. We'll see. I mean, how much of a loss was Alex Golish? I think he was a loss. You really, what you hope is that this year is more about Milton just not being good enough and less about losing Golish, putting in Joey Halsley, and not being nearly good enough there.
Yeah,
there's stuff like that. Fair questions. I mean, I think the Nico tenure is going to be really important for Josh Heupel, but yeah, I mean, it's just that's got to be loud. Small number of people, right?
I hope so. Look, I said it. I thought Heupel was bad Saturday. I thought he did a bad job.
He hasn't had a great year.
Right. So I'm not saying that he's like, Vince Lombardi out there and is some foolproof coach. He's got flaws. And the just utter falling apart on the road in conference games is a problem, and that's on him at this point. When it happens 3 times, that's on the coach. Like, you got to get that figured out. So I'm not saying that he's perfect. But overall, like, I don't know how if you could be like a Tennessee fan familiar with what all has gone on here and not be still overwhelmingly encouraged by the job that he's done. I mean, he's done a really good job, and it's not gone well against Florida. That's a terrible loss for Tennessee this year. The second half against Alabama was really bad. I get it. I'm not saying you can't be frustrated. Frustration's fine, and it's fair, and it's warranted. But some of it just gets out of control with this fan base after they lose a game. It's crazy to me.
Well, what I'd like to know, too, is, like, how many of the people saying that were like, making him out to be Vince Lombardi.
Yeah.
It's like you fall too deeply in love, and then you immediately want to break up at the first little fight. Just chill out, man. Netflix and chill.
Jeff from Hendersonville says, I don't want him fired. I just want him to run a quarterback sneak on 4th and 1 with his 240-pound quarterback.
That is a very fair point.
That's fair. It is kind of amazing. Like, this is an offense to me that is designed, like, philosophically. How can we generate the explosive play? Maybe a little bit more emphasis moving forward from Heupel, like, in terms of, okay, if we need a yard, how do we get it? Probably a little bit more emphasis needed on that side of things.
Yeah. Well, this goes, and I hate to bring up the name, but this does go back to Butch too, right?
Yeah.
And that's one. I mean, by golly, Jeremy Pruitt lined up under center and got you a yard, didn't he? He also only got you 119 total yards in the whole game.
I was about to say, the yards part of it was not very expansive when he was there. Yes.
There's a lot of fair criticism of Heupel. That's definitely one. I mean, go under center and you use what you have, right? He hasn't had a great year. Overall, it's been very good. Better than you should have expected.
Coming up next, we'll be joined by Corey Curtis from News 2. We'll get his thoughts on Tennessee and Alabama, get his thoughts on the Titans as well as they prepare for the Atlanta Falcons coming off the bye week. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays.
And we are done. Vandy 24-21.
All the big stories.
I'm sure Vandy will be a much better team if Clark Lee is the coach.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
What a stop by UC Sarah.
Then he wouldn't end up on my team.
Driving his way to victory lane.
I think that's the right strategy.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Time for the Birds Report.
Presented by Newton Nissan.
The Nashville Predators hosted the San Jose Sharks for their first meeting of the year Saturday night at Bridgestone Arena. Predators had a 1-0 lead after one on a goal by Samuel Fujimo, his first with the Predators. And then it was 2 goals in 12 seconds in the second period that sort of broke things open for Nashville, giving them a 3-1 lead. Novak and Sherwood for the Predators. Sherwood also assisted on Novak's goal. So when Sherwood had his fight later on in the second period with Luke Cunnin, the ex-Predator, that gave him a Gordie Howe hat trick for the night in a span of 6 minutes and 46 seconds. Predators got 2 goals from Tommy Novak in the game and finished off with Luke Evangelista getting his first of the year. Tuesday night, the Predators play host to the Vancouver Canucks. Game coverage underway at 7. This is Pete Weber reporting.
20 years ago, when Genesis Diamonds came to Nashville, this was one of the most expensive cities in America for diamond jewelry. Our radical approach and no middleman pricing changed that forever. And now we're doing it again, this time with lab-grown diamonds. We were shocked to find out what the other mall stores and the other big radio advertisers were charging. For example, they sell their platinum 4-carat VS2 lab-grown earrings for $13,480. Ours are 40% less with better diamonds. Their 5-carat lab-grown diamond earrings are $17,950. Ours are half that price with better quality, 50% less at Genesis. Looks like they might be going back to the old ways. If they're charging this much on lab-grown diamonds, kind of makes you wonder what else they're selling at the same outrageous markup. Nashville, we are not going backwards. At Genesis Diamonds, our non-commissioned trusted advisors are here to give you all the information with details you can trust and prices you can count on. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
Now, your Game Center update.
This is Nick Keyser. It was a hit parade in Nashville on Saturday as the Predators scored 5 goals on the San Jose Sharks. However, Kiefer Sherwood had his first career Gordie Howe hat trick in the NHL with a goal, assist, and a fight. Here's what he had to say after the win, being one of the most energizing players on the team.
It's a blessing to be in this league. I think it's, for me, I just try to play hungry and give the team whatever energy we can to establish ourselves. We take pride in playing here and want to make this a hard place to play for other teams. So energy is a thing that I always say, but it's contagious, and I try to bring it every night.
And the Philadelphia Phillies can clinch a trip to the World Series tonight as they take on the Arizona Diamondbacks at 4:07 this afternoon. If the Phillies and the Astros close things out tonight, it'll be a rematch of last year's World Series. Then the Tennessee Volunteers fell 34-20 over the weekend to the Alabama Crimson Tide. The Volunteers have yet to win back-to-back games against a Nick Saban-led team. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. On Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Geezer here with you on this Monday morning. And as we do every Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our friend Corey Curtis from News 2. Corey, good morning. How are you?
I am perfect. Pretty darn little perfect Sunday.
I'm sure it was for you. Nice Bears win. Packers loss.
You want the Bears to win?
Doesn't happen very often.
Why do you want the Bears to win?
I'm no longer on Caleb Williams' watch. I mean, now that we've got Tyler Bagent, we can trade away the first pick for the second year in a row.
That's a good point.
Hey, he did look pretty good yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't get to see the game. I saw the result. Look, I know we're going to talk Titans, but can we just admit, just put this to bed, that Tom Brady was the magic, okay? Tom Brady was the magic in New England. Belichick's got no Super Bowls without him. In fact, he hasn't even sniffed Super Bowl status without him. He stumbled across him. He's a good head coach. He's not a genius, all right? He's a very good head coach, not a genius. Without Brady, he very well has 0 Super Bowls. And Josh McDaniels is not a good football coach. Josh McDaniels was awful in Denver. He is awful with the Las Vegas Raiders. He's awful. He is 100% awful. For the Raiders to lose to this team that badly, I mean, he shouldn't have been allowed on the team playing back to Vegas.
I will say, though, impressive response under pressure from Belichick, though. Clutch performance from him. Vrabel's in the owner's suite yesterday. A lot of people think maybe he's the replacement for Belichick, so impressive job by Belichick pulling off that win yesterday.
That's why I thought Corey was maybe going to rip the Patriots Hall of Fame choices next, rip all the Patriots things.
No. Look, like I said, he's a good coach, but he had the greatest quarterback who ever lived, who elevated his team like no one has ever elevated a team before, okay? That doesn't mean he didn't do other good things. He built his very good defensive mind. He made some very good player selections, obviously along the way. He's had some other excellent players. But Brady was the magic. Belichick wasn't the magic. Brady was the magic. There's no question about it.
How many I don't disagree with you. By the way, Ryan from Chicago, Tyson Bagent. So I don't know what you said.
What did I call him?
What did you call him? Tyler, Taylor, Tucker? I don't know. But
he's the future, baby. I don't even know his
Sign
name.
him up.
So I agree with what you said, Corey, but let's take it. So let me ask you, in the history of this league, when you've had great teams and champions, how many times was it the coach who was the magic over the best players on those teams?
That's a really good question because, if you go back to the Steelers,
those teams were absurdly loaded.
They were absurdly loaded, and there was no free agency, so players couldn't go anywhere. You go back to my 85 Bears, it's maybe the greatest collection of defensive talent ever. And also, people don't realize that was the number one scoring offense in the league. Now Buddy Ryan and Mike Ditka, maybe the right two guys to make that all come together. And I'm not saying that Belichick didn't make Brady better, okay? I said he's a good coach. But, when you're right, when you go down, Jimmy Johnson is a great coach, but he assembled talent. And that's part of his brilliance, was the talent he was able to assemble in Dallas. And I say Bill Belichick built some good football teams in New England. I can't give him credit for stumbling on Brady in the 6th round. What I can give him credit for was quickly realizing he was the man and not waffling back to Drew Bledsoe, because there's too many teams that would do that, and he didn't. He saw that what he had in Brady, and he went with him. That is the brilliance for Belichick, to be able to move on from players to realize that there was someone better.
So, Corey, with the Titans back in action this week, there's a lot going on around this football team right now with the quarterback decision that they have. The deadline is coming up. Let's just start with those two things. What are your expectations as we sit here today for, number one, who the quarterback is going to be on Sunday for the Titans, and how active do you think they could be in terms of the trading deadline?
Well, everything in my body, and I had a screaming match with Jared about this on Friday, says it needs to be Will Levis, because we've seen what they've got in Malik Willis. And, yes, he was put into a tough spot. I get that. Do more, all right? Do more. Be ready. Do more, okay? So I need to see what Will Levis has got. We know there are a lot of quarterbacks in this draft, and you have an opportunity, maybe not the opportunity that you wanted, but you have an opportunity to see what you've got, to see how he reacts in this situation, because you don't know until you know. It's like Tyson Bagent. You didn't know what you had until you put him out there. I mean,
good job, we get the name right.
Thank you. I picked up the Raiders defense just because Tyson Bagent was starting. I mean, come on. And that's, I said the same with Brock Purdy. 49ers didn't know what they had until he got out there. And at some point, you got to put him out there. Jared's argument was because the team stinks, you don't put him out there. I understand that situation's not ideal, but you still learn about what you've got. And we can go down the line. I mean, when these guys get in the game, whether they win or lose or the team is good or bad, you learn what's in the guy when the lights are on and the bullets are flying out there. And, I think that this is a good opportunity for the Titans, and Malik Willis has not created a scenario where you're like, well, you have to start Willis. And so, I mean, look, I haven't seen Will in practice in 2 months, so I don't know what he's doing out there, but I know what he was drafted to do, and we need to see if he can do it.
No, I agree with you. I didn't hear the argument between you two, but I agree with you. The idea that because things are so flawed on the offense side of the ball that you won't get any idea, or I reject the idea that you're going to ruin them. I just think that's I don't think that's typically a thing. I understand there are some examples people can point to. And I definitely reject the idea that you're not going to get any idea because of the O-line and the receivers. I mean, you're going to get some idea. I go back to –
Look, this is an offense that still scored 27 points twice at home, all right? They have scored. The offensive line, there's no question, it's not perfect, but you've got Skoronski back. You've got Petit Frere back. And you've got DeAndre Hopkins. You've got Derrick Henry, okay?
Well, you should have Traylon Burks this week, too.
Back. Okay, so these are all people we were excited about when the season started, okay? So, you've got people out there. And let's not pretend that Tannehill hasn't left some points on the board because he has. And that's not me blaming the season on him, but there are plays he's missed. And let's see if these guys or if Will can make these plays.
Corey, what did you make of Tennessee-Alabama on Saturday? Alabama wins 34-20. Outscores Tennessee 27-0 in the second half. Well,
it was twice where my jaw was on the floor. The first half, I was like, oh my gosh, they are kicking their tails. I mean, they physically took it to them in the first half of that game. I was very concerned after creating turnovers that they settled for field goals, though. I thought that was very that left the window open. They had chances to really pad their lead. And by the way, Joe Milton, excellent in the first half, but in the second half, there wasn't a whole lot that was excellent. And I'm really wondering what happened. I mean, was it just Alabama turned up the physicality and their physical superiority took over the football game? We had Chad Brown on the show last night, and he said that was pretty much it. He didn't think that Saban made any magical tweaks to the game. He just tuned his guys up to be more physical and take it to them. He also thought that when Milton was running kind of the scripted offense in the first half, that he was very good. And when things broke down from that, that's when he really struggled. And I guess that was the other thing is Milton wasn't good enough to push his team over the finish line. And that's not entirely blaming it on him, of course not. But, I mean, you saw in the past with Hendon Hooker, he had a response for everything.
All right, two quick NFL points for you, Corey. First of all, shout out to Gover because I think he has the best. I think he has the best answer, which is Bill Walsh, the West Coast offense. Joe Montana, great player. Jerry Rice, great player. They had great players, but I do think that was an innovation that actually continues to be a part of this league. So
few Hall of Famers on that team, though.
Yeah, no doubt. Exactly. I mean, you just aren't going to find great coaches who don't have great players. Also, right. Corey, let's please give a round of applause for the very overrated Detroit Lions. Can we? Can we please?
Well, okay. So this is a great part of the conversation. You know, I walk in the office yesterday, and somebody asked me, Corey, should I give up on the Titans? And I said, why? Because they lost last week. Should you give up on the Lions? They got murdered today by the Ravens. I mean, they got just bum rushed. So does that mean their season's over? It's such a week-to-week league for virtually everyone. For virtually everyone, it is a week-to-week league. I mean, for Patrick Mahomes, it's not a week-to-week league. All right, it's not. And I think for the Eagles' offensive line, it's not. But for virtually everyone, it's a week-to-week league. The Lions are good. They're not elite, but they're capable of beating anyone.
Right.
They're also capable of getting murdered.
But in no weeks, like last week, unfortunately, should anyone ever talk about the Lions as the top team in the NFC, which happened. Not from you, but yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, it's okay to put them in the upper tier of teams for sure, but the Eagles, are clearly, up there with the 49ers. I mean, it's a two-team race.
You heard it here first. Corey Curtis says the Titans are as good as the Detroit Lions. That's what I took away from that conversation.
Yes.
That is exactly what I said. I'm so glad
I'm going with it.
You put Amon-Ra St. Brown and Traylon Burks together as one.
He's a huge fan of Tucker Bajent, too.
Yes, me too.
Tucker. I'll tell you, Trey Bajent is going to lead us to at least 4 Super Bowls.
Yes. Corey, great stuff as always, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us, and we'll talk to you next week.
Are the Packers going to win another game?
They may not, man. They are a special kind of bad.
I heard that Matt LaFleur, the fans are ready to come at him with pitchforks.
Well, I've been ready to do that for 2 years.
Yeah, he's had the torch lit for months.
He sucks.
He'll be Rob Schneider. Oh no, it's suck again.
Yes, pretty much. That's pretty much what it is. Corey, thank you.
Bye.
See ya. Corey Curtis, our guest on Robby and Rexrode. We'll get back into Tennessee and Alabama coming up next. Break down the Vols loss on the road to the Tide. All that coming up. 615-737-1025, our phone number. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
When you own a business, it's like another member of your family. And success takes time. It requires money, attention, and tools to help it grow. At F&M Bank, we'll treat your business like family, building trust and responding quickly when you need us. No matter your business goals, you can reach them easier when you have a banking relationship that supports you, tools to conveniently manage your money coming in and going out, and expertise to make your business better. Bank your business at F&M Bank. myfmbank.com. Banking made easy on purpose. Member FDIC.
Prince's Hot Chicken is Nashville's original hot chicken restaurant, serving up the gold standard of hot chicken for almost 100 years. Whether you get their tenders, wings, whole chicken, their Andre chicken sandwich, or one of their fabulous sides, you will not be disappointed with this Nashville staple. Ranging from plain to mild to hot, Prince's has something for everyone. There's even the XXX hot flavor for the adventurous types. You've been warned. Prince's Hot Chicken has multiple locations in Nashville, with their newest location opening at the Tanger Outlets in Antioch, October 27th. Prince's, Nashville's original hot chicken. This week's Nashville's Best Deal is from Nashville's largest axe throwing venue, Bad Axe Throwing Nashville. Go to thegamenashville.com/deals to get a $50 gift card for $25. Aim for a great time while enjoying panoramic downtown views, live music, curated cocktails from the full bar, and a Northwoods-inspired menu with a Southern twist. Bad Axe Throwing Nashville welcomes axe throwers and non-axe throwers alike. Bad Axe Throwing Nashville, 648 Fogg Street.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
You're listening to Robby and Rexrode.
It's part of this nutritious breakfast.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tomorrow, it's your chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click. If you correctly guess a Preds player that scores a goal in the game tomorrow night, you'll win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Your next chance to participate is tomorrow morning at 8:45. Speaking of the Preds, don't miss this Wednesday night Smashville live show at Brewhouse South in Cool Springs at 6 p.m. See your Predators star players up close and personal. Get autographs and pictures as well. This week's special guest, Preds head coach Andrew Brunette. Smashville Live brought to you by the Black Abbey Brewing Company. Looking forward to that coming up on Wednesday night as the Preds at home all week. They play Tuesday night against Vancouver, then a few days off, and they'll have the Toronto Maple Leafs coming in on Saturday night. So we'll get into the Preds a little bit later this hour as well. Right now, taking your thoughts on Tennessee. They lose to Alabama 34-20 over the weekend. Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Jason. Jason, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, thanks. I'll have to disagree with him as far as that first half as our quarterback. It wasn't him. I mean, it was the receivers making some outstanding catches. I remember the first crossing route for Squirrel White, the commentator on the television saying, well, the throw wasn't perfect, but Squirrel sure did spin around backwards and catch that ball, and that's going to give him confidence. The touchdown throws to both Squirrel and the tight end was on their fingertips, and those balls were not on dimes. So, I mean, he's the most inaccurate quarterback that I've seen in a long time, and I'm just not going to allow people to give him any accolades. When he wasn't throwing the ball on dimes, the receivers were making some outstanding catches for him.
Yeah.
And
so he was a couple inches off on both of those throws. Those are winning throws. I mean, he was 16 for 22 for 175, 2 touchdowns. He also had 8 rushes for 43 yards to lead all rushers. He had an excellent first half. Excellent first half. I mean, he wasn't perfect. He was never going to be perfect this year. If Joe Milton played like that all year, Tennessee would be undefeated right now, and we'd be talking about Joe Milton in all SEC terms. You know, I mean, it's now. Look, I'll grant you that second half he didn't do enough, just like Corey said. But I mean, you know, you're talking about some completions that were a little bit off. That for Joe Milton talk, that's. I mean, you also got to keep it in the context, right?
Well, I put it in the context, but I mean, he's a 6-year senior just starting, and there's a reason for it. I mean, I'm ready for the next level to come up and see what we got, because I know we're stuck with him. There's no way that we're going to be able to push him out, especially with Georgia coming up. But more credit goes, at least in my opinion, from what I saw with all these guys twisting their bodies, going to their back shoulders, stretching out, fingertip catches. I give all the credit to the receivers making him look good.
Yep,
and thank you.
Thanks for calling, Jason. Appreciate it.
I did the Kaharski there and just interrupted and just started barking at the caller.
Well, look, Milton played really well in the first half. I don't know how you could watch it and not think so. Now, look, he did. He brought up a couple examples there. Squirrel White made a great catch on that crossing route. He reached back behind him, grabbed the ball.
Yep.
Squirrel White made a phenomenal catch on the touchdown. Now, you also, they've needed their receivers to do that.
Give them a chance to make a play, and they made plays.
Right. They've needed their receivers, and quite frankly, they need it from more than somebody else other than Squirrel White. Like, they need somebody to start making some plays out there. You know, Ramel Keaton had another drop in the game, and then he goes out and makes just this incredible over the top of the defender's shoulder catch while he's basically resting on his back type of play. And you're like, okay, well, how can you make that play and you can't make the play that's just delivered perfectly to you every time? So there's still, I think, from receivers not named Squirrel White, there's a lot of inconsistency going on out there. I mean, you know, Thornton gets in the game. I mean, you can't throw the ball better than Milton threw it to him on that play.
Yeah, that was a perfect throw.
And he dropped it. And he saw footsteps from the defender. He dropped it, and then you didn't see Thornton again, which just keep him on the bench. There's no reason to see him again the rest of the year.
Yeah, which is tough. I mean, I really thought he might be a difference maker. I mean, Milton, there were also probably, 6 or 7 throws, not deep throws or anything, but they were on time, perfectly accurate completions to move the chains in the first half. So Chip from Mount Julian says, Joe, it's ifs on Milton. He's not it. He's not accurate and can't process quickly. Look, I think it's pretty clear. This is a big step down at quarterback this year. It's 1 year. As the caller said, he's a 6-year senior. This is his kind of last chance. He has gotten better, from when he was at Michigan in 2020. I think he's gotten better from 2 years ago probably, but it's not good enough. And what you hope if you're a Tennessee fan is that this is that one in-between year, and then you get back to much better quarterback play and an offense that is – you're talking about the top scoring, top passing, top overall offense in college football last year. And Not that now.
No.
Not even close. So, of course, a lot of that is because Joe Milton's not good enough.
Well, the bottom line is it may not be that good again ever. Like
that's true, too.
Even if Nico is really good, it may not be that good again ever. Now, it probably won't have to be that good again ever as well if you continue to build the roster the way that they're building it. But, I mean, certainly that's the hope if you're a Tennessee fan is that the quarterback play next year is better. But like I said, I mean, you brought up the numbers in the first half. I thought Milton was good in the first half. I didn't think he was, like, terrible in the second half. He just was not he's not good enough to be the answer when things aren't going right around him. Like, he there's got to be a threat from the running game. You do need your receivers to make plays for you down the field that they just really didn't have the opportunity to make in the second half. I don't think anybody would argue that's watched Milton play that he is good enough to carry the team. He's not. And he was not good enough, certainly, to overcome that wave of momentum going against them in the second half.
Right. I mean, he's making some more plays on that drive that the 4th and 1 gets stuffed. But I agree with JD from Brentwood. He says, I think the biggest drawback of Milton's inconsistency is how Heupel calls plays. It's clear they don't trust him inside their own 20. Agree. And only safe throws in the red zone going in. I agree with that, too. And look, Joe Milton.
The thing is, though, like they dialed up 2 plays on Saturday inside the 20, and he missed them both. Dylan Sampson's wide open in the end zone. He misses the throw.
Yeah.
Jacob Warren's wide open in the end zone, and he misses the throw. Like, you can't do that.
Right. Now, they came with a blitz, and that pass to Castles was fantastic.
Yep.
So, I mean, it was a lot better than you're used to seeing, but I agree that there's overall lack of trust. The thing is, if you go to Nico, you're probably going to have at least that same level of mistrust for the true freshman. I mean, it's just not going to be great. So from here, you got to keep playing great defense. You got to get back to Jalen Wright carrying the mail, and then you hope Milton first half at Alabama is more the norm, and they're going to win a lot of games still.
Well, look, Jalen Wright. We asked the question leading into this game, had Tennessee's offense running the ball shown you enough where you feel like they could run on everybody? Well, the answer is no. They can't run on everybody. We found that out. I mean,
not that 133 is a bad day of running the ball, but a lot of that was Joe.
A lot of that's Joe Milton. I mean, he had 59 yards, which is – look, I said it heading into the game. They need to lean into him running the football more than they have, and they did that on Saturday. So that's something that you got to keep doing if your hype on the Vols moving forward here. Look, I think they're going to have an opportunity to run the ball well against Kentucky and Missouri. Georgia, we'll see. I have my doubts. You'll be at home in that game, but we'll see. Milton is going to be the starter heading into the Kentucky game. Like I think there's now an idea, and this is where we're at in the season now. The fan base is like, well, you've lost 2 games. The race for the SEC East is over, which it is, and the race for the college football playoff is over, which it is. So let's go ahead and make the quarterback switch and get Nico some reps. And I understand that thinking from the fan base. The coaching staff, meanwhile, is like, well, okay, there's still an opportunity to win 9 or 10 games this year. They may not get there, but there's the opportunity to do that. And does Joe Milton give you the best chance to win? Up until this point, it's clear that they think he does. I don't know that I see that changing right now. Now, again, I said this earlier, and I believe it. If Milton goes out there really in any one of these games and just totally stinks it up, and they lose to a Kentucky or they lose to Missouri or even the Georgia game. Like the Georgia game, given the timing of the year, if you lose that game and he's really bad, I mean, you've got like Vanderbilt after that. So maybe it changes heading into that. I do think Milton is still one bad performance away from his job maybe getting called into question. But it's not happening right now.
Yeah, I agree. One bad and a loss. I think that it's possible. But, yeah, like this week, he's going to get the start. And I think he should. And the whole problem with all of it is, and again, it's kind of like Levis, but I don't know like where they think Nico is right now.
Right.
But I know that the plan is Nico starts next year.
Right. Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line. Welcome in Justin. Justin, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Good morning, guys. How are y'all doing?
We're good.
Good.
I just want to touch base on what y'all have been talking about with Joe Milton and Nico and stuff. I believe that any quarterback you put in the system, they're going to be good. So Joe Joe Milton, the way that Josh Heupel runs the offense, they throw in the flats a lot, they throw some screens, they do this and that. So he's going to have a pretty good completion rate right there. But when he throws downfield, that's where a lot of his inconsistencies come from. He's just not putting it right where he needs to put it. Now, the throw to Squirrel White, in the end zone, that was a good throw. That was a NFL throw. He put it right where he needed to put the ball in order for Squirrel to catch it. Squirrel just made a great catch. But going forward, I think Nico does need to start at some point in time. The kid, I hate it that he worked his butt off all off season before he came to Tennessee in the Polynesian Bowl and, playing the 5-on-5s or 7-on-7s, whatever it was. I mean, he worked his tail off, and he's, if he is the $8 million guy with the NIL deal, I'd love to see this guy in there and start playing. I'd hate for him to go. I don't think he will, but if Joe Milton don't look good against Kentucky, I think Josh Heupel needs to make that decision and get Nico in there and get him some playing time.
Yep, thanks for the call, Justin. Appreciate it.
That brings up one thing I've seen some from Vols fans about Nico that I think is so off base, which I think we can get into next.
Yep, we'll get into that coming up next. 615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. Your thoughts on Tennessee and Alabama. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Attention all fire protection, commercial plumbing, and HVAC experts. Jarrett Companies are looking for experienced field technicians like you. Tired of working for your large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett's Fire Protection, Commercial Plumbing, and HVAC divisions are owned and operated by Nashville natives who want you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we'll also provide you with top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and our business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to JarrettCompaniesInc.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT CompaniesInc.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Get Black Friday deals earlier than ever at Electronic Express. Get the gifts you want and save up to 40% throughout the entire store. Beat the crowds and save on hundreds of 4K TVs, appliances, computers, and more. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing on items like an LG 75-inch 4K TV, now only $649, or a Samsung French door refrigerator, only $13.99. Black Friday deals are here at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
20 years ago, when Genesis Diamonds came to Nashville, this was one of the most expensive cities in America for diamond jewelry. Our radical approach and no middleman pricing changed that forever. And now we're doing it again, this time with lab-grown diamonds. We were shocked to find out what the other mall stores and the other big radio advertisers were charging. For example, they sell their platinum 4-carat VS2 lab-grown earrings for $13,480. Ours are 40% less with better diamonds. Their 5-carat lab-grown diamond earrings are $17,950. Ours are half that price with better quality, 50% less at Genesis. Looks like they might be going back to the old ways. If they're charging this much on lab-grown diamonds, kind of makes you wonder what else they're selling at the same outrageous markup. Nashville, we are not going backwards. At Genesis Diamonds, our non-commissioned trusted advisors are here to give you all the information with details you can trust and prices you can count on. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Insightful discussion.
When we talk about the person that these players are.
3 goals scored in the first 5 minutes.
He wants to be the starter, day one.
Mixed with spirited debate.
Okay, but
Derek, let's put Pastor Derek. They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
We got the whole thing covered. We got it all covered.
Here.
Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, I'm Gary Smith, head coach of Nashville SC. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser here with you on this Monday morning. Got some tickets to give away to see the Preds take on the Vancouver Canucks tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena. Be caller number 3, 615-737-1025. Our phone number, caller number 3 will win a pair of tickets to see the Preds take on the Vancouver Canucks tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena, 615-737-1025. Joe, a point you wanted to make on the Nico discussion that you think Tennessee fans may be a little bit off base on.
Well, I caller made some good points there, but I heard that, and I've seen this a little bit, which is, I hope he doesn't leave and all this stuff. Guys, Nico, from the absolute start, everything he said, they've said, his family said, et cetera, planned that this year he was going to be sitting behind Joe Milton. Now, look, at some point, if Milton really struggles and you feel like you're ready, might you be antsy to get out there and all that stuff? Sure. If you're a competitor, you want to get out there. But this idea that Nico thought he was coming in here and starting, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, my God, Milton's starting instead? Like, he knew the situation.
He was some other reasons why he's not leaving. But,
well, there's that, too. Yeah. Now, granted, you might be able to, go somewhere else, and who knows? The money's flying around out there, but yeah, this is not.
I would not be worried about him leaving too much if I was Tennessee.
Yeah, well, right, and this is not some threat. But even apart from the NIL stuff, this is not like some surprise. This is what was expected and what he expected. He basically made that very clear several times, including at the Polynesian Bowl that was aforementioned there. He said something to that effect, basically. So that's not a thing. Nico's plan has been, again, you have this blueprint of recent success for quarterbacks who are 3-year quarterbacks who go to the NFL. I don't know if he is that, but he could be. That's the idea. That's the hope. And, again, Stroud, Young, there's 2 examples recently of guys who had the 1 year, got a little stronger in the weight room, got to know the offense, got to just get adjusted to college, and then unleash them in year 2. That has always been the plan.
The one thing about the game Saturday that continues to be a huge concern for me, and I don't know how it couldn't be concerning for everybody inside that building right now, they've got to figure out why it is that they go on the road and have a stretch in a game where they just completely fall apart. We brought up, 3 times in the last calendar year it's happened, basically from start to finish in the South Carolina game defensively. You just couldn't stop anybody. The Florida first half this year, you couldn't tackle them. The offense looked bad. You couldn't block anybody. You were by far outclassed physically by Florida. And then, this game, you look like now Tennessee looked better than Alabama in the first half. They dominated Alabama in the first half. And then it completely flipped the other way in the second half where Tennessee had no answer for Bama. And look, some of that was self-inflicted. We've talked about the fair catch on the kickoff and you having to start at the 4-yard line. The 4th down calls from Josh Heupel, especially the second one, I didn't like. I think it was a perfect opportunity to punt the football and let your defense, which to that point had been playing pretty well, try to play well continually and pin them back to start that drive inside the 20. Hopefully, if you punt the ball well enough, that's a bad decision by Heupel there. But this is now the 3rd time in the last calendar year where the wheels have just totally fallen off for a stretch of a game on the road in conference play. And at this point, there's nobody else that I can put that on other than the head coach. It continually happens. You got to find a way to fix it if you're Heupel.
Yeah, for sure. He got asked about that a few times after the game, kind of downplayed the road issues, mentioned basically communication's hard on the road. Other than that, doesn't think it's a big deal. But he makes a big deal out of what the home environment does for Tennessee a lot. He starts his home pressers after a big win with a ridiculously good atmosphere, talking about that. So, of course it matters. So you got to figure out how to make it matter less for you, when you're in those situations, not let it snowball on you. There's a lot to that, of course. But, he also just – I feel like there were – what Corey earlier was talking about, Saban just had them tuned up. They changed some things. They changed some things defensively for sure. And Tennessee did not adjust. Were they too conservative? I think being pinned was part of that. But, yeah, I mean, even in that series, it's like you can't trust Milton to give you like a 6-yard, like a quick one, get the ball out of his hands and try to get out of that. It was just run, punt. So, and then you have the, to me, overly aggressive decision by him to go for it. Easy to say when it doesn't work, but I just didn't like it, the way their defense had been playing. So I don't know what it is, but that's too much now of the Vols having just nosediving in performance in these road games on the SEC.
Well, and overall this year, when they've had short yardage situations, they've struggled with it. Like they got to figure out a way to when they need 2 yards or 1 yard, what's your best opportunity to get 1 yard? I don't know. It's not going to be the same thing every time. It is mind-boggling to me that they have a quarterback the size that Joe Milton is, and you don't try a quarterback sneak there. And I get it. You know, it's easy to always just point to the quarterback sneak, and I know, you know, the brotherly shove in the NFL, everybody wants to do quarterback sneak now, so I get it. But, I mean, Joe Milton, 6'5", 245 pounds. Maybe line him up under center and see if he can sneak it.
I'd like to see it. The thing is, not only is he huge, but also when he does run, he seems to love absolutely like treating defensive backs like bugs on a windshield.
Yeah.
So I feel like he'd be pretty. I mean, some quarterbacks have a feel for that, some don't. I'd like to see them try it because I think you'd probably have more success than the things they did in 2 4th and 1s on Saturday.
I would agree with that. And then there's the defensive side of things. I mean, the first drive of the second half, Alabama at that point had been doing nothing offensively for the most part. And then they pop you with the big run on the first play of the second half and then the touchdown pass that we've talked a lot about. It just felt like after that, the wind just kind of got taken out of the sails defensively, and they started to run the ball. They had 16-yard – Alabama had 16 yards rushing in the first half, and, you know, they ended up with 138 on the ground. That's a pretty dramatic shift from one half to the next, including McClellan ended up with 115 yards on 27 carries. He got to a point in the second half where when they needed to have a big run, he made it every time.
Yeah, and that was very disappointing to see from Tennessee's defense. And it just – and some of those plays, you know, they just didn't set the edge like they were setting the edge in the first half, and they looked like they got tired. So some of that happens. If you get dominated and all of a sudden everything's going against you, they just didn't have the energy. But that's another thing that kind of goes to what we're talking about. Was on the road, it comes down to Heupel. You also need – I mean, you got to have players. You got to have leadership out there and all that stuff that tries to stem that tide too. But they just did not have the same level of intensity or effectiveness once things started going the wrong way on them.
Stem that tide. Nicely done.
Thank you. Not intended, but we'll take it. All puns.
I thought, you know, the first half, Tennessee's pass rush did a good job of getting after Milroe. I mean, there's the James Pierce Jr. play where they put him on the other side, line him up on the left side, and he just bull rushes the left tackle, makes the strip sack, the turnover. But I said it at the time, like, you know, when you get opportunities in the red zone like they got in the first half, you have to come away with touchdowns in those games on the road against Alabama. And 2 times they come away with field goals. And look, if they convert both of those, do they end up winning the game? I don't know, but that's 8 points you left on the table if you're Tennessee's offense in the first half.
Yeah, right when those happen, I'm like, yep, this will cost them eventually. But then when they got that pick in the end zone and went right down the field and scored, and Milton handled the blitz and delivered that perfect pass to Castle, like, oh, they might actually do this. 2 plays. I mean, just 2 plays in the second half. Just right away, boom, boom. 29-yard run, 46-yard touchdown. You get a – I mean, I know I think it was McDonald fell on the TD, but, like, also the safeties just –
they got torched.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Just run right between us. And it's just, man, as soon as that happened, the stadium, the mood in the stadium totally changed, and it mattered.
It mattered, and then you have, you know, just it felt like they could never reel it back in, right? Like they were unable to just stifle the momentum in place. And, you know, Milton, even in the second half, he had some good runs where, you know, he was picking up the first down, but they could never sustain anything offensively in the second half. And now it's got people like, what do you do from here? I mean, we've been taking calls all day on it, people texting in about it. Like, if you're Heupel, do you make a switch at quarterback? Do you look ahead to next season? and get Nico some reps at some point this year, while also, I mean, you're 5-2 with an opportunity. I mean, they certainly have a chance to win on Saturday against Kentucky on the road. Missouri is a good team. I don't think that's an unwinnable game for Tennessee on the road. You got Georgia coming in, and, you know, it's crazy to talk about Tennessee beating Georgia right now, given what we've seen from them to this point. But it's at home at Neyland Stadium, and Georgia has looked okay so far this year. I mean, there's still opportunities in front of you to have a good season if you're Tennessee, even though it is way more likely than not that a trip to the SEC title game is now totally dead.
Yeah. I wrote that they should win the next 2 games. There's some people who take issue with that. But I stand by it. I think they should win the next 2 games at Kentucky, at Missouri. And I think they will. I think they can compete with Georgia at home with what they would, the atmosphere they'd have. They should win. The running game should go nuts against Kentucky and Missouri. And I understand not that either of those teams are like bad in that way, but most games, if you just have some semblance of balance with this offense, with those running backs, you're going to run. And then this defense should not give up a lot of points in both of those 2 games, I think. So we'll see.
Tennessee.
Maybe I'm overvaluing Tennessee.
Tennessee, a 3.5-point favorite against Kentucky on the road on the FanDuel Sportsbook.
Okay.
What do you think of that line?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably about right. Kentucky's been pretty bad.
There's also a line for Georgia and Tennessee on the 18th on the FanDuel Sportsbook.
Yeah?
What's your guess?
My guess would be Georgia by 8.5.
You nailed it. Georgia by 8.5.
Boom. All right.
Look at you.
Hey.
The Rexrode Sportsbook.
Joey the Greek.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We'll take your final thoughts on Tennessee and Alabama. Titans in action this week against Atlanta. Pred's big win against the Sharks over the weekend. Your thoughts on all of that available on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
He knows Nashville sports.
And you've got Mike Vrabel in what feels like sort of a back against the wall game. They're at their best.
And he's not scared to tell it like it is.
They need to go on the road and win a game.
He is Outkick's Chad Withrow.
16 5-star players and 52 4-star players.
Withrow joins Stillman and Company every Friday at 5. Brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
They still have all of the talent.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. If you have some things around your home that you've been putting off fixing, like your regular HVAC maintenance or a clogged bathroom drain, Hiller has some big discounts this month. When the temperature drops and you start using your heater for the first time, you do not want to be dealing with breakdown issues, and this month, Hiller is offering half off HVAC tune-up. And Hiller is bringing back their $99 drain cleaning special. These deals only last this month, so be sure to call today. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds of Falls and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey, are you seeking relief? Maybe you just want to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? Yeah, really. You can have legal THC products shipped directly to the comfort of your home. Yes, comfort in cannabis is only a website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. That's Green Trees with a Z, and change your life today.
Are you looking to buy a new home? Need cash now instead of having to wait for your current house to sell? Don't get ripped off by one of those I buy your house people. Call Loan Pronto. Hey, Willie Donick here. Loan Pronto's Dream Home Bridge Loan can help tap your equity so you can get the cash you need. Make a clean offer on that new home or that investment property with cash to cover the down payment. With this amazing program, you can get the cash in a matter of days. Very little paperwork, and usually no appraisal is needed. So you can go after the house you want with no contingency. Then when your current house sells, the bridge loan completely disappears. Don't put off your dream. Let Loan Pronto help you leverage your equity so you can get the cash to make a solid, clean offer. Call now, 615-499-5780. Ask about the Dream Home Bridge Loan. LoanPronto.com. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
As a roofer, I'm always on the go. So I need to be able to get things done from anywhere. That's why I partner with Beacon. With the Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like Certainty Landmark Pro, right at my fingertips. It's like having my Beacon rep in my pocket 24/7. I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Now through November, purchase Certainty through Beacon Pro Plus and earn up to $750. Beacon, always building.
Fall is prime for planting, and Lowe's knows how to help. Start by beautifying your garden with our large assortment of mums, available in a variety of colors. Then get Stay Green garden soil, starting at $4.48 to feed your plants all season long. And don't forget Scott's fertilizer for preparing your lawn for a better spring, starting at $28.48. A great-looking fall starts here. Lowe's knows home improvement. Selection varies by location, excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Coming on in Forest It's Pete Weber. Tuesday night, the Predators continue their homestand against the Vancouver Canucks. Join Jay Moore, Max Hers, and me starting at 7 o'clock.
Your home for Smashville is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This week's Nashville's Best Deal is from Bad Axe Throwing Nashville. Go to thegamenashville.com/deals to get a $50 gift card for only $25. Bad Axe Throwing Nashville, Nashville's largest axe throwing venue, located downtown at 648 Fog Street. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Joe, as we wrap up the discussion on Tennessee and Alabama, your thoughts on Bama, now with just one loss coming to Texas. They've clearly got the path in the SEC West to get back to the title game. They got this week off, got LSU coming up after that at home. But what do you make of Alabama after this win and as it relates to them being a contender for the college football playoff?
Well, I think that they're probably going to be in Atlanta. LSU could get them. I mean, LSU could get them. Jaden Daniels can get cooking, and, you never know. But, look, I like Alabama's resilience as a team. They've got a very good defense. I like Jalen Milroe. I thought that he, after a really rough start, I mean, he made some big-time plays, and I think he's turning into a pretty good quarterback. But, I mean, I look at that team. First of all, in like just your average year, that is absolutely not a college football playoff team. I'm sorry. I just don't think they are. And I'll tell you another thing, since we can finish this on a hot take. I mean, I think the SEC's got a real chance to not be in the college football playoff this year.
Ooh.
So let's this was thrown out to me by a friend of the show I was at in Michigan a few days ago. So let's play out Washington's undefeated.
Okay.
Florida State's undefeated. Both of those are plausible. I mean, the Pac-12, Washington has some tough tests, but let's go, right now I think Michigan looks really good. But, someone from the Big Ten, I mean, Michigan still has to play Penn State and Ohio State. We'll see. But someone out of there is undefeated.
Yep.
Okay. Oklahoma's undefeated.
Okay.
Which is certainly plausible,
it is.
Right? And then, Georgia gets through and beats Alabama in the title game. Now, I think now I'm not even doing the Alabama part of it, but let's just say Georgia. I think right there, if you look at the SEC's performance in non-league and you look at all the other conferences, I think Georgia should be the team left out. Now, I threw this hypothetical at Staples in the press box Saturday, and he's like, Florida State would be the team that would get screwed. And he's probably right.
Even undefeated?
The ACC getting screwed at the in favor of the SEC.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he may well be right. But I think you could make a really strong case. Look at who Georgia played this year. Who did they play? Who have they beat?
I don't think that they would be – I don't think they'd leave Florida State out if they were undefeated.
But think about that scenario. So let's take that scenario, play it out to Alabama having lost to Texas, having lost to Oklahoma, Texas having lost, beats Georgia in the SEC title game. Alabama should not be in the playoff in that scenario. The same scenario I played out with a one-loss team that beat Georgia.
Yeah.
Now, we all know all those things that I just said, some of them won't happen.
Correct.
But none of them are outlandish at all.
I mean,
the SEC this year
it's down.
Is not very good.
Right. It's down. And the quarterback play is not good.
And that's why.
Yeah. The quarterback play is bad, and that's why you're seeing it. Georgia, I still think even without Bowers, Georgia is going to get to the title game undefeated. So, if they lose to Alabama in the SEC championship game, how much weight gets put on that compared to the rest of their schedule, which has not been very good to this point. The Pac-12, I think, is the best conference in college football this year. Washington is very good. Oklahoma and Texas. What's really going to be interesting is what I think is going to happen, which is going to be an Oklahoma and Texas rematch. And I think Texas is going to get them this time in the Big 12 title game. What do you do then? Because, look, I watched Oklahoma play Saturday. They were screwing around, almost lost to UCF.
Oh, yes.
I think they're better than what they showed on Saturday. But that's where chaos is going to come into all this is, Texas and Oklahoma having to play each other again. And what if both of them have one loss? What do you do at that point?
Right.
It's probably going to Texas, but because they would have the win over Alabama too. But that'd be an interesting one.
Well, yeah. And the Big Ten, I mean, look, Ohio State, I was impressed. I mean, I was unimpressed with Penn State. 1 for 16 on third down. And James Franklin, man, how are you – I can't believe he went for that fourth down when his defense is dominating the game. But he did.
We get lulled into this by Penn State every year. They're not on that level.
No, I agree. But so Ohio State, though, that's a pretty darn good win for Ohio State.
Yes.
So, what if Ohio State goes in and sneaks out a win over Michigan so that they're both one-loss teams?
Yeah.
Because, Michigan might be the best team. And J.J. McCarthy is playing at an incredibly high level. Now, they haven't played
It would be great to see them play somebody at some point.
I agree. Well, they go to Penn State, so that will be finally a legitimate opponent for them to play, and then we'll see. But there is that scenario. I don't think they'll lose at home to Ohio State. I think they'll be cut dry. Michigan will be. But if they do, there's another one like that. So I'm just looking at Georgia, but Georgia's like Michigan in terms of who have you played? Who did you beat? I mean, if they go into Tennessee, that's the thing. It helps the SEC is if Tennessee goes to Kentucky and wins, and goes to Missouri and wins, and then Georgia can go into their house, and that would be okay. Good win, Georgia.
Right.
I don't think the SEC is going to get hosed, but this is a year where it could happen, and wow,
I agree.
What a story that would be.
Well, usually there's no chance that happens. And
usually we're like, well, there's two. They're going to get two, right?
Right.
Are they going to get a third? I mean, not really, but two is a much stronger possibility than them having none. This year, that is not at all true.
Yeah, I agree. And, the quarterback plays a big part of it, but it's a really fascinating year. Joe, real quickly, Preds win 5-1 Saturday night. You want to talk about a bad team? Boy, San Jose Sharks. They're tough to watch.
That's some stat padding right there. They're playing the Sharks.
Tough to watch. It's a draft lottery system, so they may not get the number 1 overall pick. I am comfortable today on October 23rd saying that the worst team in the league this year will be the San Jose Sharks. They are terrible.
And they've really, shouldn't they be moving off that at some point here? They're not moving off that.
They're not moving off of it. Look, pretty bad. Preds in action tomorrow against Vancouver. Nice 8:15 start tomorrow night.
Oh, I know
looking forward to that one.
You're excited about that one. Tommy Novak continues to produce.
He does.
That was Luke Evangelista's goal was pretty sweet.
It's pretty nice.
You saw a little glimpse.
Nice assist from Pete Rogers, the assistant or the equipment manager on the play.
Right.
I messaged him yesterday. I said, "Hey, nice hands. Thanks. Appreciate it." It's good stuff. That does it for us today here on Robby and Rexrode. Junie and Big Joe coming up next. You're listening to 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays